Good morning and you're welcome to the program. It's the key points here on TV3 and 3FM. I'm Jifa Bampo. Thank you once again for joining us here on the show. Today, 13th November 2021. And what are we talking about today? It's been a very difficult week for the people of the Ketu South Municipality, where tidal waves have devastated the community, destroying school blocks in their wake. What support is there for the victims and what are the practical and permanent solutions? We'll be talking about that with our guests. And today also, Parliament has been hearing the memoranda presented by members of the public on the anti-LGBTQ bill. And it's all about the unpleasant truths and the tough decisions ahead for us as a country. We'll be talking about that as well. What were some of the insightful points raised during those hearings and what are the highlights? We are live today on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. Also around the world at 3news.com. Follow us on our Facebook page, it's TV3 Ghana. And between now and 10 a.m., I look forward to hearing from you. You can send me a tweet at Beho Bampo. You can also tag TV3_Ghana or at 3FM 92.7. Join in the conversation also using the hashtag on Twitter. It's hashtag the key points. We take a break and we return.
It's about to get more sporty with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Sometimes we play the Clinton-Get, the Chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz? Well, why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes.
And when he said he wanted to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining every Saturday on Warmer Plus, right here on TV3.
Things need to be fixed. And it's not just about NPP or NDC, it's about Ghana. All the leaders have failed us. If Kwame Nkrumah didn't do what he did, would we be here today? If he didn't start lay a foundation for us, would we be here today? What foundation are our leaders?
Please slow down for your honor, okay? You don't understand anything.
And then shut up and bend over. Let your backer do the talking over. So back up and bend over. And let your body do the talking over. So pass me the dutchie. Pretty girl, come wine pon me cocky. 10 toes, one girl, make you touch it. Touch it, touch it, touch it.
The wait is over. The most celebrated, multiple award-winning courtroom drama series in Ghana is back. Kijetia versus Makola, where the streets meets the law. It's bigger, better, and stacked with more humor. Kijetia versus Makola. Brand new episodes.
Kijetia versus Makola, starting Saturday, November 13, 9 p.m. on TV3.
It's always an exciting moment when these ladies meet. They put away their differences to bring you closer to everything you need to know.
You don't need a visa to Singapore. You don't have to break the budget to look good. I don't like the saying, dress how you want to be addressed, but it does carry some weight.
So you have a long dress and you want to shorten the length of it, you just do it by yourself.
For interior, you have to first consider who you are.
To share my story,
make the fibroid conversation a normal one.
In their craziest moments, they forget they're on live television. Realness, humor, intelligence, positive vibes are your weekend package. Join Anita Ekufu, Sikase, Miss Flavor, and Helen Apia Ampofu on the Ladies Circle every Saturday, 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, still timeless.
Woodine.
Music is that one thing that you didn't know you needed, but you have. Are you ready? Let go! Everybody put your hands in the air. The house party! Soothing music. Electrifying performances. Worthwhile interviews.
Sometimes we do songs in 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? The best of the best. This year, where the party day today. Music. It's big.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Welcome to The Summons.
We bring you a show that gives you a good blend of gospel music, the Word of God, and everything inspiration to a Christian heart.
And it's a call to discipleship. It's a place where you connect with and also receive from God.
The Summons. The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
Brought to you by myself, Benjamin Ofeado, and
Na Ashoko.
Keep watching The Summons. You'll be blessed.
The Summons shows Sundays at 11:30 a.m. and repeat on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. on TV3.
Thank you very much for joining us. And it's been a heartbreaking scene from the southern Volta region over the last 1 week. We are learning that some 3,000 people or more have been affected by tidal waves, which have hit hard and destroyed homes, education infrastructure, and disrupted the lives of the people. Now, minority MPs from the area have accused government of neglect. Hence, some self-mobilization is underway with different groups raising funds for disaster relief. Now, why is the relief rollout so slow? How can it be hastened? And what's the permanent solution to the devastation? Is relocation the uncomfortable reality for the people of the Ketu South area who've been affected by these tidal waves? And is it fair to accuse the people of engaging in sand winning, hence the effects of the tidal waves? And we'll be getting a series of diverse views this morning. We've had our reporters based in the area this week. Komla Kluche spent the early part of the week there. The last 3 days, my colleague Roland Walker has also been there and remains in the area. We'll also speak to the MP for Ketu South as well as the Volta Regional Minister. In studio, we have Dr. Richard Asante Yeboah, who is the NPP's Deputy Director of Communications. And we were supposed to have the National NADMO PRO in studio, but we are learning that he's unable to join us. But we will speak to the Volta Regional NADMO officials. But first, let me turn to my colleague Roland Walker, who's been covering this for us for the last 3 days. Roland, great to see you. Good morning. So great job that you've done over the last 2 days following this for us. First, tell us, what's the situation in the Keta area as we speak? Roland, you need to unmute so that we can hear you. And just unmute so that we can hear you. And then you can give us that update. Thank you. All right, looks like Roland hasn't unmuted yet. We'll just correct that and come back. But let me introduce Dr. Asante Yeboah, who joins us in the studio. Good morning, Dr. Asante Yeboah, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my sister. How are you doing?
All right. So, Roland, tell us now, what's the situation in the Keta area today?
The situation is that many of the displays in the communities, and we're talking about Salakopa, right down from the lagoon areas that are connecting the sea, and then right through the areas along Angonoga, you go to Jita, Anyanui, and for a community that you have to even cross the lagoon, Fuvaba, I have to say that the relief items that have been promised by the National Disaster Management Organization haven't really reached these residents. They've been given some little amount of either a gari here, some canned products, or even rice, or some of the mattresses, etc. But if you look at the quantum or the numbers of the displays of the victims, it looks like perhaps the disaster preparedness by way of when these emergencies happen, for which the National Disaster Management Organization is responsible, was just not up to scratch. And I have to say, Jifa, when you go to the communities, they will tell you that the waters this time around are not receding as fast as they would have compared to what would happen previously. And it's for good reason. It's been raining for a number of months now, because you would notice that our weather patterns have changed. So even the periods when they were not expecting the rains, you would find that it's been raining consistently. It's made the ground very wet, and so the ability for the soil textures of the ground to be able to absorb water and then for them to seep beyond where they are located is a big problem. It also has great implications on habitation. So you have people who have built houses. Now there's great water. I came here on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today is Saturday, and they just have no place to sleep. It would mean that they would need mattresses. They will need some level of clothing. Beyond the food, the water, and all the things that you give them, they will need also apparels or attires to wear. And then you have to check their health, because the water has seeped into areas, but also it has rained over the period. And then we have the lagoon water that has also mixed with the water. So we have collected water in many of these communities, and based on the
All right, so we just have a brief break there with Roland. Yes. So, Roland, you've described that the water hasn't really receded as fast as one would have liked. The main disappointment is that relief is not getting to the people fast enough. In terms of the relief, is it that there isn't relief to give, or NADMO officials and other agencies have just been slow at receiving relief from maybe the national office here in Accra?
Well, so I spoke to a number of the district or municipal coordinators of NADMO. They will tell you the true state of affairs, and they would also describe it as that we don't have the buffers. So ideally, we're supposed to have let's say, storage for emergency purposes. Now, for disaster operational plans, you would have to envisage, usually when these happen, how many people will be affected. So if it's 10,000 people, at least you need to have in stock 5,000 of the mattresses, used clothing, that will call fools, and number of them. Not after when the disaster happens, you go soliciting or doing solicitation. And these district or municipal offices of NADMO now would have to get to Accra to get stock. But ideally, you expect that these localized or chapter offices of these national agencies should have these at least in stock in their communities where they have been identified as hotspots. So they don't have them. They go to Accra, it looks like the stock is just not there, and we're now trying to catch up. So that's what we're doing. We're playing catch up really.
You said a lot of the people have nowhere to sleep. So where have they been spending the night this last 1 week?
Some of them, if you go to the communities, for example, Gitanya, and you see that there's a road. And so for those who are, if you're entering the town on the right side of the road, the waters had receded for those who are far off. And so those who have relatives, they go live with their relatives or friends. Now, if the schools are closer to the roads, it means the schools too have water inundating them. So they can go and sleep in the schools or the churches. So they sleep on the road, and because the mosquitoes are coming in these days, they just try to loiter around till day breaks. So really, they have no place to sleep.
I understand that there's going to be a flurry of activities today. I know that there's been a lot of self-mobilization by people from the Volta region. On one level, there's the MPs. Then on another level, I know that there are some prominent citizens of the land led by Richard Kwashiga, who is a former MP for Keta, together with a number of other people who are also providing some support. I understand there will be a donation tomorrow. Give us a fair view of what you know may be happening today.
Okay, so what I do know is that we have a number of relief items. First, food, basic attire, so the folks, so to speak, the used clothing, and then they have some mattresses that have been mobilized, and they are coming from NGOs, so these charities have organized them. The political figures of former Member of Parliament for the area, Richard Kwashiga, as well as even the current Member of Parliament, Gakpe, and then people like North Tong Member of Parliament, Jifa Gomashi, who is with Ketu South, the former Member of Parliament for Ketu South itself, Fifi Kwete, and a number of them, they've tried to do some mobilization. And then they are hoping that they can coordinate all these with the National Disaster Management Organization, with the little they also do have, so that will help. I do understand that the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has donated at least 1,000 bags of rice and some other added products. So that is also in stock. I do know for Keta, for example, they've given them about 300 of them. And so that will do the augmentation or the complementary effort as it is. He's supposed to come into town, so we'll see how it goes. But a lot of the MPs who are even beyond the constituencies that are bordering the coastal communities are also coming in. So we have them from even the northern side of the Volta region, those that are within the middle section of the Volta region, all coming to help. But I have to say, what is needed is a national effort towards this. It looks like, compared to disaster that will happen in Accra, etc., because they are inner city, you get to find that there's a lot of assistance coming in, and the eye of the media is on. What we have done as media is to just get the first day of the disaster, and then at least the second day. But since then, we've just had scantily other prominent media houses like TV3 and 3FM and the rest of our subsidiaries doing the reporting. I saw Metro TV. And then once in a while, you find that agencies like Angel will come in. But the eye of the media, the national media, has not been here. So we don't see the severity of the humanitarian crisis that confronts these thousands of displaced people. And that is the difficulty. So I don't know what we can do. I think that we need to improve our attempts at getting help for disaster or displaced people. It doesn't matter where they come from, or where they are located, or how fast we can get there. But if you look at the situation that the disaster happened at dawn of the Sunday, and then we're into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and we're still getting this narration. I don't know, by my experiences, it just doesn't look good that the state of Ghana has done enough.
Thank you very much, Roland Walker, and we'll come back to you. Thanks very much for that reporting that you've done for us over the last 3 and 4 days there while you remain in Keta. And that's my colleague, Roland Walker, bringing us up to date. And we'll get back to him. But one of the people, the groups of people who've been very unhappy about this situation are the members of parliament who come from the coastal area of the Volta region. And they've been crying about the neglect which they say is coming from government. Let's hear some of them.
I am so disappointed at what I have seen. Our disaster response has in itself been probably more disastrous than the disaster. NADMO appears to be totally confused and in disarray. When I heard the NADMO boss say that they have to travel to Accra to secure relief items, and as we speak, what they have returned with is so paltry, is so meager, that it will not help in any way, really. And that is why, as MPs and, you know, public-spirited persons, philanthropists, individuals are all helping. And the president himself, I was expecting that the president would have called off his trip to Cape Verde, because that was just a ceremonial event, an inauguration of a newly elected president. You can always go back later to go and congratulate the president. But this is an emergency. What responsible leaders, leaders who have empathy, leaders who care for their people, leaders who have their priorities right, what they do is that in case of national emergency, they rush to the scene and they mobilize resources. They are all Ghanaians, they all pay taxes. And we have a certain fiduciary duty that we cannot derelict, that we cannot, you know, check. And I am absolutely disgusted. I am outraged at the lack of care. As I speak to you, almost a week on, not a single statement from the president, not a single visit. And to make matters worse, yesterday in Parliament, the president sent a message that he's going on holiday.
Parliament is a place of record. You go and show picture, elsewhere picture, whether Benin or Togo, and claim that that picture comes from what? Keta, and that is the various tracks that are winning sand in Keta. That place is not close to Keta. That picture is not close because people need it. As we are speaking, NADMO bring 100 bags of what? Rice for 3 constituencies. My constituency got only 30 bags of rice for over 4,000 people. Is that what we are saying? Few cups and then few plates and then 7 pieces of what? Student food. That's what was allocated to the people. And they claim they are organizing to bring the rest, they are taking stock. How long are they going to take stock? So as part of that, we are calling on benevolent people, indigenes, prominent indigenes from coastal belt of Volta region. And then the former president, John Dramani Mahama, tomorrow will be making a big donation, food items and so many assorted food to be given to the relief, as a relief.
And those were some members of parliament from the Volta region. You saw Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa speaking there, and you also saw some of the footage of the flooding brought on by the tidal wave. So let's now speak to the Deputy Director for Communication for the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Santi Yeboah. So Dr. Santi Yeboah, it's been a week. No visit from the Works and Housing Minister, the Honorable Francis Asensubwachi. The Volta Regional Minister, as far as I know, is yet to go there, Dr. Archibald Letcher. He will join us via Zoom. The President himself, on a crucial day like this, that one would have thought he would come back from COP and Cape Verde, he's gone on holiday. I've not seen or heard the National Coordinator of NADMO make any major comment or provide any reassurance or demonstrate any speedily support for these areas. It seems like total neglect without anyone having to say so.
Thank you very much, Jifa, and good morning to your viewers, and also good morning to the good people of Volta region, particularly the Kita area. I would want to say that as a person and as a political party, we would want to share with them their pain and the frustration that they are going through as a result of this tiger with that is not the fault of any individual, but as a result of a natural disaster, which we all need to help deal with the issue. I understand and appreciate the concern being expressed by certain individuals that they would have loved to see a speedy delivery of relief items and all that. But there are certain comments that comes in and it muddies the waters and sort of dilutes the conversation. Particularly when what political actors introduce politics into the conversation, it makes it seem like indeed people do not care and all that. Those things don't help matter. Because the point is that before a president of the republic would travel for an event of such nature, of investiture of another country's president, letters, correspondence might have happened, an agreement has been arrived and reached and all that, particularly when you're supposed to be a keynote person to arrive at such event. Within that period, nobody knows that there will be such a natural disaster because it never calls, it never gives an indication when it's coming. So when such thing happens and the president is on a trip, there are a whole legion of individuals and teams that need to help coordinate this. As a country, we ought to be interested in building institutions, calling on institutions to deliver on their mandate. And that's what excites me. When I hear somebody say that, NADMO, it is your responsibility to manage this crisis. Works and Housing Ministry, what is the way forward in terms of this? Because the point is that this is not the first time we've seen such a disaster happening. It's been happening across various regimes.
Yes, but this is significant, and to the extent that a week has passed beyond the president, all these other people I mentioned.
I don't seek to undermine the people because I have a special ties to the people of Volta region because that's where my wife comes from. So obviously my children are partly Voltarians, so I do owe some level of, and I feel for them. Beyond that, we are one and the same people of this country. We need to unite behind the people and find ways forward. Because you see, other areas, when such issues comes up, you don't see politicians dividing themselves and trying to score unnecessary political points. Because you see, the blind politicking that we do in this country, that is what makes it so difficult for things to be done the way we all want it to be done. Because you call an institution to act. What is this business about? Calling on president that because he's gone on a program that has been scheduled for over 2 months away and is scheduled for that program. Because of that, he cannot go. He was already there, and this event started. Whatever that needs to be put in place ought to be done by those institutions.
Okay, so the president's plans had been scheduled long ahead of time.
No, I don't want to reduce. I don't want to.
Yes, I know we don't want to reduce it to just the politics, but the reality is that
at the moment, what the people need,
political leaders must show leadership.
You see, the political leadership we have at various levels.
The vice president is in the country.
No, but I mean, we haven't even gone too far to the top. At various levels, when you go to the Volta region, we have MMDCs across. These areas do have MMDCs. They have a role to play in that. We have leadership in terms of the chiefs around the area. We have assembly members. We have members of parliament who hail from the area. We have regional ministers. All these individuals have a role to play. We have NADMO that as an institution that is mandated to deal with this. Even when it gets to very extreme cases, we call on the military to come in to assist in certain situations like this. So we have all these things at play. What I understand is that NADMO has sent some goods and relief items to the people. But according to the report we are receiving, the people say it's not enough. So more ought to be sent to the place. So that is where we need to sound home and drum home, that let's make sure that the people receive these medical attentions, receive these relief items as soon as possible. When we move the conversation from that and we migrate into realms where it depends that somebody, one political party is trying to score a point, trying to create the impression that people do not care for the good people of the Volta region, it saddens my heart, because I don't think that anybody would want to say that there will be any Ghanaian who would not want to care for another person, not to talk about a whole government that was voted for by the people. The reasons why this government came to power was to deliver the people in terms of providing the deliverables that they require. When their disaster come to their aid, when education provided for them, health infrastructure provided for them, roads provided for them, sea defense projects provided for them. I don't want this issue happen. I've heard the Minister of Western Housing at a press conference indicating some of the issues and the various strategies that have been put in place to deal with this matter. We know that no matter what you do in terms of fighting the sea, you cannot. I mean, America puts in all kinds of measures, but when the hurricane comes, what happens? It wipes away everything. So these things will continue to happen, no matter the amount of sea defense that you will do across the coastal lines of Ghana. But what we ought to do as a people is that in events like this, let's coordinate ourselves. Let's come together. Let's deal with it. Let's leave the politics for tomorrow and deal with the matters now. Because what the people care for are not the kind of talks that we hear from our people. That I see my brother Ablakwa goes on and on and on and literally use this to undermine and lambast the president. That is not the way forward. That's not the way forward. The president being there, what would he do?
Okay, so
what
that's
the people need is not a president coming to look at their faces.
Okay.
They need the relief items. They need the assistance that will help their life to be better.
Okay,
they
but
need
to the extent that it's a week, it's been a week, and you heard my colleague Roland, who's been in the area since Wednesday.
And I think Roland indicated that he has seen some.
People are sleeping on the roads.
I mean, see, I will not sit here and say all is rosy out there. And those are some of the things that disasters come with. That it will take some time for you to reorganize and mobilize and deal with the issue. I would have wished that within 24 hours, these issues have been dealt with. But there will be challenges in terms of even the distribution of these items. Items will not be dumped in a particular region. They are usually at the center. When there are issues, they will have some minimal quantities at the various regions and districts to deal with some few issues that crop their heads every now and then. But when there's major issues like this, what ought to happen is that these items will be transported from the national to go and deal with the issues. I agree that, you know what, some people are in some level of discomfort. The MPs ought to be there. They ought not to be there with their mouths.
No, but they are there donating. They are there donating.
People are donating. I know members of the MPP who have gone there to donate. I know that the government officials are having meetings, working around the clock to make sure that these things are taken care of. I understand NADMO is on every inch of the time trying to find ways of dealing with these issues as soon as possible. But the point is that we ought not to create any impression that people do not care for the good people of the Volta region. That discussion is not on. And
okay,
I think
but
that
then
we need to stop it.
How then do you explain the disagreement that occurred in Parliament, which nearly led to fisticuffs, where it's now emerged that a photograph that the Deputy Majority Leader, the Honorable Aponyo Makin, put out about sand winning, and even in Parliament, the members of the majority side who sought to point fingers at the people that they should stop sand winning so that the tidal waves crisis would not worsen, where the Works and Housing Minister, in his media briefing, much as he commiserated with the people, now sought to raise issues of sand winning as if to blame the people for this force majeure that has happened. That doesn't seem fair.
I'm not sure that would amount to anybody blaming the people. I mean, this is what we need to understand.
I think the sand winning discussion is one for a latter day. Why raise it in the heat of this crisis?
I don't think he erred in throwing light on some of the conduct of humanity that seems to create problem for the environment. And we all know the impact of stand winning. We know the impact of deforestation. We know bush burnings, its impact on the ozone layer. We know all these. We've been taught. We understand. We've lived in there. We know what is happening now. Global warming and all that. And we know that the chunk of these things happen because of human activities. Now, if a minister or a member of parliament points out that, indeed, across the coastal line, people are doing things that are uncalled for, that are worsening the situation, because already you can't fight the sea. You cannot. You can do as little as you can with some sea defense here and there. But at the west ends of the sea, and it's trying to do certain things, there are things that you put on their way, it will wash everything away. So we say, the minister says that, you know what, we understand some of these things happens around our coastal lines. Let's find a way of desisting from winning sands at the seashores. That doesn't mean that everybody around the Volta region is involved in that. It will be 1 or 2 people or 3 people. So when somebody says, let's all find a way of helping curb it, it means that we ought to police our coastal lines together. When people are doing activities that will not help, let's all throw lights on that. Let's make sure the lenses of the media on such people. Let's point to the people. Let's call for the arrest of such individuals. Or if they are companies, let's deal with them. That is what somebody will want to portray. But that cannot be equated to saying that the people of the Volta region have erred. They've committed sin. They've done something bad. That is why natural disaster befell them. No, it cannot be so. That is why I'm saying that at every point in time, we need to understand that we are one people, and the sum of our individual ambitions and the difference of birth, wealth, religion, tribal affiliations, and all that ought to be positioned against the national interest. We need to know that Ghana agenda should be bigger than all these things that I mentioned. That at every point in time, it should be the Ghanaian. Not some one political party trying to earn and score some political points. Understand, when people are delaying, call them out. NADMO, you have to do A, B, C, D. You haven't done it. What is the reasons? What are the issues? Okay, if you are doing it, we understand it's not enough. Please, can you up your game? Let's see. Do you need more hands to come and assist in terms of the distribution of the relief items that you receive at your warehouses? Let's do this. The NGOs that are supporting, they know their chiefs who are supporting. We know their political parties, and I just heard that former President Mahama has donated something. I'm not sure the people have received it.
But he's going there today.
He's going there today. How many days since this thing happened?
Yes, but he's not in government. But he's not in government. At the end of the day, the new Patriotic Party government, led by President Akufo-Addo, is in office.
I'm raising this point because my brother Ablakwa sits and talks about the fact that since the event happened, the President of the Republic hasn't been here because
okay, but I have told you, it is not just the President. I listed 5 other officials who have not been there.
We can't be too sure. We can't be too sure about those who haven't been there and those who have been there. I'm sure you have opportunity to talk to Honorable Lecha and all those.
Yes, we spoke to him on Wednesday.
So that was Wednesday.
And he indicated that he hadn't been there yet. But
today is Saturday.
NADMO, if he had been there, we would know.
Don't worry. I'm saying that he will have opportunity to answer these questions himself. Today is Saturday. But beyond that, the presence of the individuals do not constitute a relief item. What the people require is the things that will make their lives comfortable. If there are mattresses they need, if there's food and other medications and other things that they need, if medical assistance, ambulances that they need, if they need a place where they can put their head for the moment, if they can be relocated to other, this is what the people require. They are not looking at beautiful pictures, people coming around like what people want to do, go around, take pictures. That's not the people require. And that is what is killing the kind of the politics that we do in Africa. We are interested in going to post with the people and leaving them. No, let's get the solution to the people. The people are asking for food. Let's get them. Let's not wait for only government. And I think when we do that, we always hurt ourselves. Because at the end, who is the government? It's me and you constitute the government. These individuals who have been voted for to lead us are just our representatives. They are our servants. They serve us. They serve our interests. Wherever the president would go to, he goes there because of the people of this country. And that's what we need to understand.
Okay, let's speak to the Honorable Dr. Archibald Letcher, who joins us via Zoom. Good morning to you, Honorable Dr. Letcher. Thank you very much for joining us here on the key points. And we'd like to find out first, why has the relief for the people in the Ketu South area been so slow? I think we are still trying to correct that, but let's go to the phone line and speak to the Volta Region NADMO coordinator who will join us now. Good morning to you, Mr. Azuma.
Good morning, madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Azuma, for joining us. So we've continued to follow the difficulties in the Ketu South area. We are learning that the relief distribution has been very slow. As of this morning, my colleague Roland Walker, who has been monitoring all these activities, reports that many are still yet to get major relief. Tell us what's been the problem.
Okay, thank you so much. Really, NADMO and government is in touch with the people. I don't want to take you back, but we have done our assessment, and then per the assessment, although many people have been affected, but some have, yes, it's so severe. And then I can confidently tell you that we've been able to reach out to people who have been severely affected by the disaster. But in terms of giving out some relief items, government, for that matter, NADMO is still mobilizing resources. Pretty soon, the rest of the individuals who have not received anything from us would also get some relief items.
Do you have a view of how many people you've provided relief items to? We're told that more than 3,000 people had been left destitute.
Yeah, you know, the total number that has been affected is a little above 4,000. But as I said, those hardly hit a bit close to 2,000. And this close to 2,000 people have been touched in a way of relief items.
There's a concern that NADMO has not worked fast enough, and that the water is not receding as quickly as people would have expected. And so people are sleeping on the road because it's two things. The school buildings and the churches may be flooded, and then their homes are also inundated. So how come, for instance, we've not been able to set up some tents for them 5 days after the fact?
No, I will not agree to the fact that people are sleeping on the road. As I said, people who are severely affected have been moved to community centers, school buildings that have not been affected by the flood, churches around that are safe for people to sleep. So we've given mattresses to these people and then provided mosquito net, mosquito coil, that they will not be exposed to the weather like that. So it is not true people are sleeping on the road. Those who have friends and families around, they have moved to patch with these friends and families. So I can say nobody is sleeping on the road. Our assessment and the data we have, no, I am not aware of that.
Will you be setting up tents for others nonetheless? Because certainly the school blocks and the churches may not be adequate, or some people may not want to be there.
Yes, definitely we have plans. Koda, the chief executive, was in the area yesterday to have a first-hand assessment of the situation. And Koda is coming out with some relief items that include tents. Tomorrow we'll be getting the delivery of these items, and then we'll be able to erase the tent for the people to have a comfortable place to lay their heads.
So what's your plan for today? Because I understand there are lots of people in the Ketu South municipality, a lot of private initiatives to make donations. Are these donations coming to NADMO or it's going through the municipal assembly? What's your plan for the day with all of that happening?
Yeah, I have also gotten the information that the Walter Caucus MPs in Parliament are coming out with some donations today. The former president, Mahama, is also coming. His brother, our own father, Ibrahim Mahama, has said is also coming with some donations. There are some individuals who contacted me. UNICEF is equally coming. I had an interview with them yesterday. They promised they'll get back to me today. If their items are ready today, they will also come today. So we are in fact just getting prepared to go to the affected areas and then be waiting for these people to come.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zuma, and certainly we'll come back to you before the program ends. And we're now joined by the Volta Regional Minister, the Honorable Archibald Letcher. Good morning to you, Honorable Letcher, and many thanks for joining us on the Key Points on TV3. Hello, Dr. Letcher. Okay, seems we're having some challenges trying to get the sound connection right. We'll try and rectify that. We take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sometimes you just know that something ain't going good. You say to yourself, this ain't working for me. There be no shame in that, man.
Like when you don't got it?
Yeah, man, I mean, being smart means knowing when to stop. Know your limits.
So like knowing when to stop? Yeah, makes sense.
If it's not fun, choose to stop.
This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
This is Krokwedu and his family. They have just won 10,000 Ghana cedis. You too can win up to 100,000 Ghana cedis. Simply recharge, call more, browse more, use Airtel Tigo Money more, and play the SMS trivia to earn points and win big in the Airtel Tigo Tugumiso promo. So why wait? Dial star 500 hash now.
Airtel Tigo no, my money any biom.
Foreign Investment Network, FIN, under the patronage of His Excellency Sheikh Tahnoon bin Saeed bin Tahnoon Al Nahyan, with the endorsement of the Dubai government, will host the FIN Africa UAE Trade and Investment Forum. The event, which also hosts the Forbes Best of Africa Energy Awards, will be held from the 21st to the 23rd of November 2021 at the Burj Al Arab Hotel, Dubai. The forum will stimulate wider collaboration between countries to speed up the realization of a prosperous Africa. Presidents, ministers of African countries, members of the UAE royal family, international investors and decision makers of blue-chip companies will be there. There'll be an exhibition area where state governments, manufacturers and multinational companies will be demonstrating their innovations. The highlight of the event is the award night dinner, which will cover all industry sectors. For sponsorship, nominations and partnerships, visit our website or call on the numbers on screen.
Ensure that actually say property fridge there. Ekulu papa. Me fear had property near Mount Kwanam use. A son said, Mammy fear higher fenema brabon so yam rese. My property!
Mommy, I want ice cream.
So what the fridges, freezers, TVs, air conditioners, washing machine, gas cookers, microwaves, blenders, electric irons, rice cookers.
And in your kahu biara, top up record. Property dear, and no major kiki.
And then my mama dear, property one use.
Property electronics, papa, and treat in Namukania. Your fridges no, what are the shame? Ne coolie. Say, your compressors no, and what dimpa. Ubenya biato, ewa Ghana fanenina. Upedie to atwa.
Tony Sack Electronics, SD Karam Dynamo, ewa Edum Kumase, ebe Methodist Asori. property to papa preko.
Pepsodent Nature Essentials, charcoal, and lemon essence restores natural white teeth, herbal extract for strong teeth and healthy gums, antibacterial toothpaste that protects you and your family, because every smile matters.
Do you want to be a star?
Hey there, Mentor X is here again. 16 contestants with 16 amazing performances every Sunday. And they need you to make them get closer to becoming the next global icon. Here's how. Dial *713*13#. Select the contestant you want to vote for. Select the amount of votes you want to buy. Follow the mobile money prompt and confirm payment. Or download the TV3 Reality app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Select the contestant you want to vote for, tap the vote button, select the amount of votes you want to buy. Follow the mobile money, card, Ghana QR or Hubtel prompt and confirm payment. And yes, you just voted for your favorite contestant and they are a step closer in making their dreams come true. Mentor X, discovering the next global star. TV3 Mentor takes you higher. Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil, and Napa Foods, Sense Body Spray, Club, Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet.
Thanks very much for joining us on the Key Points on 3FM and TV3. You can tweet your messages at me at Beho Bampo. You can also send them to our WhatsApp line, which is popping up on the screen. Shortly, we'll speak to Honorable Dr. Archibald Letcher, who is the Volta Regional Minister. Just a quick look at some of your messages. This one from Moses in Tripon. He says, good morning, TV3. If the government has nothing to offer the victims, then the majority in Parliament should not aggravate their pain by showing wrong photographs to display as if that is the coast of Keta because of sand winning. A.U. Farouk in Tamale North writes, seriously, the neglect of the people of Ketu South by the current administration is unfortunate. Is it because the Volta region is the stronghold of the NDC? Musa Abatwa writes from Kumasi, Jifa, I'm absolutely disgruntled. The leadership have shown selectivity and discretionary behavior. What's happening to the good people of Keta and other places is certainly the responsibility of government to make sure they are giving food, shelter, and a place to sleep, not the responsibility of private individuals. They are Ghanaians and also deserve the same rights as enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. Prince Henry from Koforidua says, good morning. President Akufo-Addo's silence on the happenings in Adina and Keta shows that he's not truly a father for us all. I don't think the president would have been mute if this had happened in other parts of the country. I feel sad as a citizen. Thank you very much for your messages. Many thanks. Let's now speak to the Honorable Letcher. Good morning, Honorable Letcher, and thanks for making some time for us. So it's been a week since the tidal waves came through the Keta area, Adina severely affected, Jita and the like. It's been clear that NADMO has not exactly been up to the task. As regional minister, shouldn't you have stepped in with a team from your VRCC to help speeden or hasten the distribution of relief and the provision of support for the people?
Thank you very much, Jifa, and good morning to your viewers. I thank everybody for the concerns being expressed about the plight of our people in the southern part of the Volta region. But I'm so worried about the twist that the whole thing has been given. It's unfortunate. This is a disaster, and we must tackle it with a national effort. But the way it's going is quite unfortunate. Nevertheless, we at the VRCC have done so much, and it's not everything. It's not about being populist and going there to show off that you are there. It is not important. What is important is that when the thing happened Sunday dawn, we mobilized the three assemblies, Ketu South, Keta, and Amroga, to assess the situation and send me a report in Ho, and that was done promptly. At that time, all the MDCs were asked to make a local effort to try and address some of the concerns that is within their power at the local level. We have zonal coordinators for NADMO, district coordinators for NADMO. The regional director of NADMO was also there to assess what was happening. And when I had my reports, I dashed to Accra to do a lot of mobilization in Accra. I was in Parliament House. I went to various state institutions and embassies and tried to mobilize resources for the people. I got up on Tuesday, went back. I went to Accra Monday night after receiving the reports. And then I was in Accra the whole of Tuesday. And Monday dawn, I left Accra very early in the morning because we had a very important meeting in Ho in connection with the Volta Trade and Investment Fair. That is beginning only on Monday. So I dashed to the staff. I saw the DCs, and then I had to come back to Ho by 8 a.m. to attend the meeting. But since then, I've been in touch with well-meaning citizens of the Volta region, corporate bodies, and various NGOs to come to the aid of our people. So, and I've been in touch with a lot of people across the political divide. And we succeeded in mobilizing a lot of items that will be sending there today and tomorrow. So it is not as if government has been unconcerned about the plight of our people. It is absolutely incorrect. And I want to say that the NADMO have done their best. They are also continuing to mobilize because it's very much in progress. And we know how our communities operate. When there's a disaster, we have family members taking care of the needs of others. People also moving to relatives elsewhere. So it's not like the people are just left unattended to. So we're doing everything possible to support. And the picture being created that the President is unconcerned, Vice President concerned, the government is unconcerned because of where this thing is happening is totally unfortunate.
Now, Dr. Letcher, you've indicated that you've been working to mobilize support and you've worked across the political divide. In terms of what I have seen, there's been a lot of private support coming for the region. Isn't that in itself a problem? That private initiatives, though good and certainly are welcome, seem to be overshadowing what should be really a major government response. And I can mention a number of groups, but I would prefer not to.
I also not mention groups, Jifa, but there are well-meaning citizens of the Volta region who have been in touch with me, and these resources are being mobilized from corporate bodies that I'm aware of. And some of them will show up tomorrow in the morning in Keta. We've all agreed to meet in Keta tomorrow to make sure that these items get to the people who are needy. We also want to make sure that we don't give to people who have been taken care of already. So we have the database from NADMO, which we're going to use together with church leaders and so on the ground tomorrow to make sure. Tomorrow is also Sunday. So the church leaders will also come and collect items for their church members so that immediately the items are given out, we ensure that it gets to the needy people before we even leave the area. These items will be sent to Keta. So we expect the Keta Ketu Sub Municipal Chief Executive and Angloga District Chief Executive to come and collect the items for their people. When it comes to mobilization to meet the needs of our people, it doesn't really matter. You know, when the COVID came, corporate Ghana mobilized and even built an infectious diseases hospital to support all of us. So it is not out of place for corporate Ghana to come, to be mobilized, to come to the aid of our people. It's not, but government will continue to do our part. Yesterday, the Chief Executive of Coastal Development Authority was in the area, and he called me, and there are detailed plans to even replace the school blocks that have been destroyed. and they plan to do a lot more, even coming with a medical team to look at the victims and see what their medical needs are and how to address the medical needs. So it's an elaborate plan that is being worked out. We will continue. We would have wished that things were faster, but I want to assure the people of the area that this is not discrimination. This is government institutions doing their part to make sure that whatever has happened, the needs of our people are met in the shortest possible time. And I'm sure that after tomorrow, come Monday, the story will be totally different.
So you've indicated that you will be there tomorrow. Is that it? Yes,
I'm in touch with the team, the various groups that are coming from Accra. I have a list of them. They haven't got their permission to mention their names, but the Coastal Development Authority is also coming on board, and from Monday we'll start receiving a lot of items from the Coastal Development Authority.
What is the Coastal Development Authority providing? Because I did reach an official of theirs in an attempt to prepare for this program, and one of the things I was told was that they just provide support for infrastructure development. If a school building has been devastated because of the tidal waves, and a good number of them have, TV3 has shown that, then they will provide some support to restore. But in terms of what a permanent solution is, which I'll come to you later to talk about, that's not exactly in their purview. So what would the Coastal Development Authority be providing?
Yeah, what I was told by the chief executive yesterday that they were going to do was to provide some household items, including mosquito nets and buckets and so on, in addition to making assessment of the damaged school blocks and infrastructure. And they also plan to help fishermen with outboard motors, and also help the women whose businesses have been destroyed with some loans at low interest rates. So it's a holistic package that they are coming with, and Koda is also coming with the health package to register those who are not on health insurance, and to also screen them medically to find out whether they face some health challenges since the incident occurred about a week ago. And they are bringing doctors and nurses to examine the victims and see what interventions they can be provided, in addition to registering them on the National Health Insurance, those who are not registered already on the National Health Insurance. So Koda is coming with a very holistic package for our people. And I'll get the details by noon today. I'll get the details about what Koda is going to roll out beginning tomorrow and Monday.
Will it cover the 3,000 people, or there's a limited number, or there's a specific number? Will they determine a criteria for who may be specifically or targeting women and children? Do you have a view of that?
Yeah, what we're trying to do is to make sure that as many people that have not been reached yet are also taken care of, and also to rehabilitate the community infrastructure that have been destroyed by the tidal waves. There are school blocks, I said, like markets, landing beaches, like canoes, like outboard motors, and so on and so forth. They have a package for fishermen, and that could be rolled out early next week.
You're going there tomorrow, and part of it is to mobilize and coordinate the relief support. So what happens after tomorrow beyond that? I know that tents are urgently needed for people so that they can resettle. Is that something we will see being provided for maybe in the new week? I
believe so. Jiva, I am very confident that the mobilization that is going on now would include tents and other things that the people need. I am very, very sure about that.
But where will the tents be put up? Because I think the other difficult conversation with some members of the community has been a realistic option for the future, which may have to include relocation. Where would these tents be set up such that it may not disadvantage the community who depend on the sea for livelihood? And indeed, some of them have told us that anywhere they would be relocated, they will have to consider it because they are worried about whether that will sustain their livelihood.
Thank you very much, Jifa. I want to explain that we've had this problem mostly in the Ketu South area, at Dina, Blekusu, where the first phase of the sea defense ended. And as has been rightly said earlier, the Minister for Western Housing was around, and we promised that by the end of the year, work will start. And the Minister has also said that the Minister of Finance is working towards getting the resources for the project to begin. We have different, I understand it, what is going on differently, because we haven't had problem with Keta and Angloga in the past. We've always been concentrating on Ketu South. But something different is happening, which I don't understand. I think the scientists, the appropriate state institutions will have to advise us. Because, you know, the seawater is coming from underground. Unlike the Ketu South, where the tidal waves have overshot the banks and coming to the communities, in Keta and Angloga, we have the seawater coming from underground to the compounds and so on. And because the rains are very heavy, I believe that the land is soaked with water. So there is also a connection between the sea and the underground water. That is why people have been using boreholes in the past. They will drill boreholes and be producing salt. So there's a connection, and we have to be advised. Government has to be advised by the appropriate institutions and the scientists as to what intervention should be done in Keta and Angloga. Under the Ketu South, we're confident that with the 8 kilometers to 10 kilometers of sea defense, the second phase of the sea defense, that will be addressed. But the new development that I am witnessing, unfortunately, I'm not an expert in the field, but there is seawater coming from the underground, and that is why you see the water is not receding. It is not. You can see the water still in Angloga and Keta is not receding at all. But there are places that are high ground that we can identify and fix these tents. After the Ketu South, we will identify the place for relocation. We only need to do some work there and convince the people. But my major concern, Jifa, is about the road from Denu to Keta, which we must do everything possible to save. And I believe that with the second phase of the sea defense, the route will be adequately taken care of.
All right. Don't go away, Dr. Letcher. I'll just come back to you on one final point. But let's hear from the Honorable Jifa Gomashi, who is the MP for Ketu South. She'd been leading a lot of this campaign since June, July, where we had the first, inundation, where we saw a lot of property destroyed, a lot of people displaced in Salakope and Agaveji in the Ketu South area. Honorable Jifa Gomashi, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Sue. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for asking. And I know that you've been on this campaign for quite a while. Last week was, I know, in the earlier part of the week was difficult for you, very difficult for you. Tell us today, are things a little better than since that last time?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers and listeners and the panelists who are joining the conversation. Jifa is being traumatic. It's 2 years of all of us in Ketu South struggling to find a daily bread because of the closure of the border. And then in March, actually, the first tidal wave hit. And I was just probably 3 months into my my work as a member of parliament. And then it happened again in May and now in November. I don't have the right words to express exactly how I feel and how most of the people that I engage on a daily basis feel. It is like you're pummeled by nature, you are pummeled by the systems of government, you are pummeled by just nature and force majeure. I mean, it's from one angle, you know. It's left us breathless, it's left us gasping for air, literally.
Have the people received more relief as of yesterday?
No, unfortunately. I think that the relief that was brought in May was a bit more than what was brought in November. You know, by NADMO's own admission, they have over 1,000 people registered as victims of this current one. So if you have over 1,000 people registered as being victims, why do you bring 30 bags of rice? How are they going to share that? It's almost like the biblical 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. You know, so, I mean, 30 mattresses, some mosquito nets, and so on. The relief items were woefully inadequate. It is comforting to hear. And at this point, if I let me use the platform to thank compatriots from the Volta region, in the country and also in the diaspora who are reaching out and pledging support. And I've been told by some of them that tomorrow they are coming here to make some presentations. And today, His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama has assured me that he's bringing us some relief as well for all the 3 communities that are affected. So this is what we are. But the state, what the state has brought is woefully inadequate.
Now, how about coordinating a lot of these reliefs being brought on by private individuals? And I know that groups such as the Caring Sisters of Anglon, the Volta Tidal Wave Disaster Relief Group, I know that there's the Volta Development Forum that is also donating. We know MPs are also providing, and now you've mentioned people from the diaspora. Why not channel all these through NADMO, who are the National Disaster Management Coordinators?
I don't know if that's a good idea, Jifa, but that's your opinion, which I respect. NADMO is a state institution. I've never seen that happen. Maybe it's an innovation that you're bringing up. They will have to consider that. But I think that people, Caring Sisters, for example, I was at the relaunch of Caring Sisters. They reached out to me. My brother, Ken Ashigbi, and his colleagues also have reached out to me, and Richard Kotiga, who was the former MP for Kata, he came to Parliament to tell us that we are doing this. And so I think that, well, it's not my place to tell them to go to NADMO. It's my place to say that I appreciate the effort that they're making, in addition to what the NDC caucus in Parliament and the Volta region NDC members of Parliament are doing. They are all just pitching in and putting their foot into the wheel. But I don't know if it's my place to go and suggest to them to go to NADMO, though.
All right. Now, looking ahead, I think one of the critical concerns is where the community members continue to live, since it looks like the water is not receding. Many, we are told, have taken refuge in some school buildings, in churches. One of our reporters says some people were really caught up in the open. NADMO has disputed that when we spoke to Mr. Azuma, who is the coordinator for NADMO from the Volta region. So in terms of a permanent solution, would tents be helpful? Are there appropriate locations in Ketu South municipality for the siting of the tents, such that we don't have water, flooding them?
Well, Jifa, I empathize with the NADMO coordinator and my regional minister. I feel so sorry for the two of them, because at this point, I think that is just a matter of lack of resources. He's been, regional minister, greetings to you. You know that we've been hearing you all say that relocation, we found a place. This was even in May. So if in May you said that you're going to relocate and you haven't, then it's rehashing what you have said probably from March. So whatever we have to do, let's do it. If up till now we have not been able to find the money to do the relocation and the temporary accommodation as I appeal to them to do, then in November, what am I going to say? They keep saying, and I recall that the NADMO coordinator disrespected me on that matter. They said that they have identified the place. Who has shown us? It's the reason why when His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama asked me in May what he can do, I said bring cement, because I thought the place was available. So he brought 500 bags of cement. The NDC caucus brought 500 bags of cement. So that was 1,000 bags of cement. The assemblyman couldn't show me where they had identified, and proper demarcation had not been done. Access to the place was not existent. So in the end, they just said the cement, the bags of cement. So regional minister says relocation. Let's get on with it. The short term, actually, for me, that's a short term approach. Long term, we need to build that sea defense. We must build that sea defense and save the road, as he said, and save the electricity and all the other investments that we have made.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Jifa Gomashi. She's the MP for Ketu South, and we'll continue to cover what's been happening in the area. Let's now just turn back quickly to the Honorable Dr. Archibald Letcher, and then we'll come back to studio. And okay, we're told that we'll try and get back to him. Okay, but let's speak to Dr. Asante Yeboah, who joins us. So certainly there's a disconnect between what is happening on the ground and what government is supposed to do. And like I indicated, there's a lot of private initiatives. And from the Honorable Gomashi's comment, it kind of suggests to me the subtext that NADMO is not really trusted. And so private individuals are trying their best under the circumstances to gather what they can and distribute.
I don't think the point will be that NADMO is not trusted. I think the issue had to do with the speed at which NADMO would go about things, because a government institution, and it is easier doing something on your own than an entity like even TV3 wanting to do something. Obviously, even in this station, if there's a problem with the air condition, an individual cannot quickly put their hands in their pocket and go and resolve it. You need to go through some processes. And those processes that you need to go through sometimes can be lengthy and sometimes create further vacuum and create problem for people here and there. But we need to get something straight. The desire to marry politics into these discussions has always been the reason why we struggle to address matters. There's no problem Ghanaians coming together to help government to resolve any problem of society. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Would you say that, and you say we shouldn't bring politics into it, but the truth is, would you, in opposition, say that if it were the NDC in office? Obviously, we're there.
Because a lot of the time, the government would be tagged as incompetent.
Let me give you a classical example. When the Circle fire incident happened, the disaster, that we lost close to 150 Ghanaians, and the impact that fell on the Ghanaian. We saw how we all rallied behind, donated, I did. We all contributed money, supported with relief items. The central government assisted. It was President Mahama who was the president. Some people, as at now, have still not been sorted out. How many years now? The people some of them were left unattended for 2-3 weeks. I'm not sure President Mahama, in his mind, was thinking that he did not care or he was acting like he didn't care. There will be resource challenge in terms of addressing every single problem that comes. Some of these resources might delay. But if there's a team, a corporate Ghana comes in, if the churches come in, if the NGOs comes in to support, we should applaud them. Let's not create the impression that nothing is being done. My sister Jifa was busily touting what a promise somebody has made. I'm talking about the former president. It's a promise. He promised that he's coming to do something. The promise hasn't gotten to them. But she appreciates that and she was ready to sound it over and over again. But she's downplaying the effort that has been made by NADMO and other institutions that have gotten to the people.
Okay,
no
but is it fair to say 4,000 people have been affected?
And you've given 2,000.
And in a community, maybe 1,000, and then you bring 30 bags of rice. It doesn't show. It doesn't show that you even consider the assessment figure.
The 30 bags that she spoke about, I'm not sure she said that the 30 bags was for the entire 4,000 people. She's looking at a particular community. Before I realized the number of people within that community will be about 500 or 400 or even 200. And they send 30 bags of rice, 30 bags. When there's a challenge, you are not looking at receiving goods in a huge quantum at the initial stage. Whatever that is available, you share among yourself to sustain you for a period. So when the ball comes through, then everybody really gets all their stress being taken care of. But when you go out there, downplay the effort of NADMO, the men and women, they are Voltarians too. They are working across, running through the water, doing everything humanly possible. You realize that there's a plan. When you spoke to the NADMO coordinator, you saw the plan. When the regional minister spoke, you know that there's actually a plan. When he spoke about Coastal Development Authority, the system that has been put in place and that is being rolled out to deal with this matter. People created the impression that people were sleeping on the streets, sleeping on the roads. Now we've been told that those are not possible because we know the Ghanaian hospitality. Even visitors who are not Ghanaians, when they come to this country, we open our doors to them. So it is pretty obvious that when there's a challenge, some people would find comfort in relatives, family members, and people that they do not know who have not gotten them, who are not in that situation. Others will come in and assist them. Churches are assisting them. People are being housed in churches, housed in schools, and conference centers, or what do you call it? Community centers and all that. So things are being done for the people. So when we want to talk about it, say, oh, you know what? Let's increase the pace. That's fair. We need more. Please throw in more. You're giving us some. It is not sufficient. Bring in more. It's good. Get in touch with other people. Be ready to help. When there's a situation in America, UK, and all that, we see musicians, celebrities. You are here. I'm not sure you've been to Volta region since the incident. But you are supporting in one way or the other through your voice. You are calling people to throw in there. It's possible that you might have sent some money, Momo or something, to somebody within the community to assist. That is how we do. That is the Ghanaian attitude. So let's come together and deal with this situation. Let's not at every point in time try to create the impression that somebody doesn't care because somebody's from this region, somebody from here. If there have been these people, there have been incidents in the northern region. And people have called that things have delayed. There have been incidents in Ashanti region. People have called that have been delayed. There have been incidents in my region, Bonga Afro region. Incidents and people have called that things have delayed. We know that at every point in time, NADMO had to roll out and support the people relief items coming from a meager resources. But if the corporate institutions, corporate Ghana, if the media would also come in and rally, because all these discussions that we are having, it's helping the situation. But what it is that there might be an institution, an individual who will be touched. There might be a foreign mission that is here that will be touched. There might be other private individuals who will want to come and support. Somebody might even call you right after the show and say, this is what I want to support the country with. This is what I want to support the people of this Volta region with. They are Ghanaians and they are people we need to treat special. So when we are dealing with the issues, the politicians let them back off with the kind of commentary they run.
But
the likes of Ablakwa and other NDC
but you have not called out your deputy majority leader for spreading false information.
Why do you say it's a false information?
Because the picture is not Ghanaian.
Who told you?
Fact-checked.
Who told you? From where?
It's been fact-checked.
From where? By who?
It's online.
By who?
It's been by fact-check Ghana.
The point is that
it's been done by fact-check Ghana. There are credible institutions for fact-checking.
Let me tell you this.
So the reality is that we should not, but that is even the point I made. We should not use an issue of let's finish providing the support that is needed. Then we can have a separate conversation about
they've gotten a lot. Even the recent Dr. Baumia's delivery on digitalization, all the two issues that they raised, they got it wrong completely. When it was pointed out to them, they could not come in to withdraw, retract, and apologize. What kind of institution?
There is an online platform where you can verify the pictures, and it has been verified.
I'm saying that what they are talking about, people go and pick whatever pictures, images that they have.
But
I'm
the
saying
point is
what
that
the minister, what the MP put out there is a factual picture.
The point is that shouldn't have even been done at all.
You can talk about
because it's like you are blaming the people for a plight that they are trying to deal with. Let's have that conversation later.
I think we are overstretching the conversation. Let me tell you something.
So
when there are challenges, we know there are accidents, and we're discussing a road accident, and somebody says, you know what, overspeeding is a major issue, road infrastructure. So don't talk about those things.
No,
let's make sure that the accident issues are over.
That's not a correct analogy because
we are also
saying that the community members, they sanguine.
But who said community members? You could not be. You never said community members.
That is what
there
was
will be individuals. There will be people who will be there before you realize they are not even Votarians. Before you realize they are not even Ghanaians. But the point is that
it's not just,
people are winning
just the deputy majority leader. The Works and Housing Minister also mentioned it. But
because the statement of fact, are you saying that you do not believe that people are doing some winning at the coastal lines?
Yes, but I don't say that it's not happening. But the point is, this is not the time to lay that on the neck of the community.
Nobody has laid it down. We said, you know what, when we see such events, because the point is there are things, and I spoke about that earlier on, that you know what, in terms of dealing with this matter, there's much human can do in terms of sea defense, relocating the people.
This is the
but
time.
Natural disasters can happen no matter what you do.
Yes, but this is the time.
But when it happens, and we say that
this is the time to show solidarity.
But that's what we are all calling for.
Laying blame.
That's what we are all calling for. We sat here and we are all comfortable. Somebody even looking at the president's schedule and saying that because somebody has not visited here, and they are not interested in that. When somebody talk about the fact that,
but we have
as a
agreed,
Ghanaian, as a people,
Dr. Santiago, we have agreed that the president not being there is a separate conversation. There are other senior officials who could have done so. It's just that with the president, the buck stops with him. But let me hear from.
Let me make a last.
Okay, final point so that I can go to Dr. Lecha.
I think that we might not like each other, where in terms of political affiliations and all that. Sometimes we might not be interested in even the person's demeanor. We look at the person and all of a sudden we have issues with them. But let's not look at the person's allegiance. But let's look at a person's ability to deal with issues that confront us. If problem comes and people are dealing with them, they might be MPP, they might be NDC. But because the person has the capacity, the ability to deal with the issues, let's appreciate that, encourage the people and urge them on. Let's not say because they are not coming from my area, they are not from my political party, I'm not ready to see any positive in the things that have been done. Because we spoke to the gentleman, you see that there's been a lot of things that have been done, and they are doing it, and they continue to do it. Let's applaud them, let's appreciate, let's urge them on. Let's not do things that will dampen their spirits further. To see that people do not even appreciate the things, because they're also sacrificing themselves for the people.
All right. Honorable Jifa Gomashi wants to respond to that point that you are saying that she's neglected to appreciate those people. We'll come back to that. But let me give the Honorable Lecha a final point. So, Honorable Lecha, the Honorable Gomashi complains that in addition to all this disaster that has occurred, the closure of the border persists. And so there is a concern about the general well-being of the people. How can we, looking ahead, tackle that? Because with what has happened now, I mean, there's no guarantee that things will ease up, you know, going forward in the days and months ahead.
Hello. Jifa.
Yes, sir. So I was saying that there's a concern by Honorable Gomashi about the closure of the border, in addition to the disaster that has happened. So it's an almost double, triple whammy for them. What can the regional administration do in that regard? Because there's no additional support being provided for communities along the borders who depend on border trade. And now they can't even do their livelihood, and now they've lost their property. And life as it knows it looks bleak for them.
Thank you, Jifa. I think all I can say at this moment is that her concerns, the Honourable MP's concerns, have been well noted. Is well noted. I can only say that the borders will be open at appropriate time based on the advice from our health authorities. The president.
Hello, Honorable. Can you just unmute? Yes, please.
The president is whatever. As soon as it's appropriate to reopen our land borders, government will do that.
The other thing she raised was in terms of a temporary relocation for the communities. She said she's not exactly aware of the where and when even temporary shelters will be provided. How soon can this be done?
I would like to assure the Honourable Member of Parliament that when we meet tomorrow, I'm hoping to meet her tomorrow, and I know where the area that has been identified in her constituency for relocation. I know there is need to do some work there, like building a culvert and getting the place set for the people. But you know, it's difficult for human beings to relocate. It's a difficult thing, and we have to work at it. We have to prepare the minds of the people. Otherwise, what will happen is that you spend money at the place, and as soon as there is no problem, we feel comfortable at where we are until there's a problem again. So I can promise her that I will be meeting her tomorrow, and we can discuss.
We've lost sound from the Honourable
relocation. That is in relation to what is happening in Keto South. What is happening in Keto South is totally a different thing from what is happening in Keta and Morgan. So each of the assemblies, the solution to the problems of each of the assemblies will be discussed separately with the appropriate authorities, with the assemblies, with the MPs, and then with the chiefs and people, so that we can find a lasting solution to this problem. But let us remember that when these things happen, as soon as the problem subsides, let us always remember that it could happen again. So when the problem is not there, we are talking about relocation. We appeal to the assemblies, the assemblymen, the opinion leaders to also cooperate with us, so that we can invest money trying to relocate. And I believe that when we all put our hands together, we'll find a lasting solution to this problem.
Many thanks to you, Honourable Archibald Letcher, Volta Regional Minister. Thank you for making some time for us.
Jifa, before I go.
Yes, sir.
Jifa, you are brand ambassador, Volta Trade and Investment Fair. I want to thank you for the wonderful work you are doing for us. And we want you to continue to remind the world that the fair begins on Monday, 15th November to 28th November, and visit Volta Experience Ghana. Whilst we address the problems of the tidal wave happening in the southern part of the Volta region, I want you to continue your job for us as our honorable brand ambassador. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Letcher, for that. Yes, and now I have to be an ambassador for the entire region as well. Let's hear from the Honorable Jifa Gomashi, who wanted to rebut the issue raised about the picture that was shown in Parliament yesterday about an area where sand winning was happening, and later it was determined that this was not the Ketu South area. Yes, Honorable Gomashi.
Thank you very much, Jifa. I want to throw a challenge that you make time and come with my colleague in the studio. Let's go and identify where that sand winning is happening in this area. We'll start from Aflau and walk along the beach all the way to Anglo to identify that particular place where the sand winning is supposed to be happening. Because as I speak to you, yesterday I was in the community with other journalists. Your colleagues were there with us. We roamed the whole place. We couldn't identify where this is happening. So everyone who has the time to join us and let's go and see. In any case, can I ask you, if we can send the military and the police here during the registration and the elections? Why haven't we sent anybody to stop the people who are doing this sand winning? Why haven't we done that? Why haven't we shown pictures of it? Why haven't we made any noise? No NCE, either the past one or the current one, have ever come out with this kind of picture. What were they doing? They are the state representatives, they are the president's representatives in the community. They are the ones giving the money to ensure that the various MMDAs do well. What have they done about this sand winning? Are there records to show to buttress that point or to support this allegation? I think that we need to focus on the problem that we have now, which is that people's lives have been affected by the tidal wave. They need food, they need shelter, they need clothing. Shifting the goalpost does not help anybody. In fact, it is ridiculous. I think that we need to have empathy. We need to feel for these people who are traumatized by the closure of the border and also the tidal wave. If there's sand winning going on, and we have a disaster. Is it to shift the sympathy away from the people and blame them for what is happening? Is that the agenda?
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Gomashi. Unfortunately, that's all time will allow us for now, but I want to thank you very much, and we'll continue to cover this. But 2 days ago, I did speak to the MCE, I think it was for Keta, Mr. Gemega, and he did tell me that the MUSEC had issued a directive to ensure that they patrol the beaches and ensure that there is no more sand winning. And that's where we have to end it on this topic for now. I want to thank you all for joining us on the key points. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we address the public hearings that have been happening in Parliament on the anti-LGBTQ. Do stay.
Anniversary edition of the prestigious Ghana Energy Awards is here. The Energy Media Group, in partnership with GP Business Consultant, proudly presents yet another spectacular edition. Deserving companies and individuals will be honored in various categories of the awards under the auspices of the Ministry of Energy, its allied agencies, and the World Energy Council Ghana. The 2021 edition of the event is under the theme Digitalized Energy Sector, the key for a resilient economic future. It is happening live on Friday, 19 November at the Labadi Beach Hotel, 6:30 p.m. prompt. Guest of honor of the night, Honorable Minister of Energy, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Industry partners. Validation is done by Mazars Ghana. Media partners. For ticket and sponsorship, send your inquiry on 055-930-0631. Info at GhanaEnergyAwards.com. Ghana Energy Awards, redefining excellence.
Already your humble servant Kwekwadumaba. My title so cry into him. So yeah, Jimmy. Matthew 7:7. Osi Misa had been my papa to go so. 2020 was a very tough year. 2021 there, mafia. First, me talk about Gary Kitwebi. Say the concrete and casa and the medium. Papi, when the system in my thing has been so dear, but me I am a kama. I am young palm, the Miamato. Show me a miracle.
It's showering cash with a grand prize of 100,000 Ghana cedis. The Airtel Tigo Tugumisu promo. Top up, do so much more on Airtel Tigo and earn points to win lots of cash. Dial star 500 hash and recharge 5 Ghana cedis to also win data and call minutes. Get Airtel Tigo.
Airtel Tigo, no, my dear.
Sometimes you just know that something ain't going good. You say to yourself, this ain't working for me. There be no shame in that, man.
Like when you don't got it?
Yeah, man, I mean, being smart means knowing when to stop. Know your limits.
So like knowing when to stop? Yeah, makes sense.
If it's not fun, choose to stop.
This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
Thank you very much for joining us on #The Key Points. Now, after months of public debate, mainly in the media, on a private member's bill named the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, public hearings for the bill have started in Parliament. And we are anticipating that over the next 10 weeks or more, Parliament's Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs Committee will hear presentations. They will pose their questions to seek clarity on the views, put forward. The early sessions, which were on Thursday, have raised questions about whether really the private members' bill meets the minimum standard that would allow it to progress, and that is it should not incur costs on the consolidated fund. And the majority of the memos also come from religious groups and activists against LGBTQ+. So what challenges or what does this present for the committee's work looking ahead? There were no sittings on Friday, but we understand sittings will resume on Monday. And I want to welcome our guests to the studio. Professor Techiwa Menu is Professor Emerita and also an academic. She belongs to the group of 18 CSO leaders who are social rights activists and also intellectuals. And we also have with us in the studio the Bishop Dr. Gordon Kisei. Bishop Dr. Gordon Kisei is with the Miracle Life Gospel Church, and he is also head of the Life Schools as well, and is a well-known preacher and pastor of pastors, as he is known. You are welcome, Bishop Gordon Kisei. Many thanks for joining us as well. All right, and then of course we have Dr. Asante Yeboah remaining with us. So I'll turn to Professor Emerita Techiwa Menu and ask first. So the first day of public sittings was really much anticipated. I know that the group of 18 were up to present, then also the Human Rights Advocacy Group, and then we also learned that the Ghana AIDS Commission was going to be there together with the Church of Pentecost. What for you, was insightful about the first day of hearings?
Thank you very much, Jifa. Good morning and good morning to your guests, and thank you for having me on your show. Yes, so we went to Parliament on Thursday, as invited by the committee to assist them in their deliberations. As you know, we had presented a memo and we went to Parliament House. I think that we were grateful that we were given a hearing. We believe that the committee was fair and listened to us carefully, asked us a lot of questions, and we believe that they will take our submissions seriously and that it will assist them in coming to a decision on this bill, which we find most heinous, most obnoxious, and against all the tenets of the Constitution, which all members of Parliament are sworn to uphold We know that, like the law is in the bosom of the judge, Parliament is also the ultimate lawmaker. However, in making laws, they are sworn to the oath that they took as members of Parliament and to Article 1, and specifically 112(1) and subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution, which lays down the procedure for making laws, that laws must be made consistent with the provisions of the Constitution. So we know that this has been a very emotive issue. We heard, especially from the church groups present, about their numbers and how many more memos they could have brought. But the issue is not about numbers. It is not that the law does not take into account the values and sentiments of the people. And yet, knowing all of this, the framers of the Constitution insisted that both in Article 1, subsection 1 and 2, and Article 93(2) of the Constitution, that laws, the lawmaking power must be exercised in accordance with the Constitution. So we are not allowed to substitute our views, our emotions, however widespread and popular, for what the Constitution says. And the Constitution has carefully set out a chapter on the freedoms, the fundamental freedoms and rights of all persons, including people who are not even Ghanaians, but who live in Ghana. And it does a very careful balancing act of setting out these freedoms and also the conditions under which those freedoms can be tampered with. And our insistence is that this bill that is currently before Parliament displays no such overwhelming public interest, issue of public health. The issue of public morality is sometimes brought into the argument. The Constitution is very careful. It is only when we are talking about the freedom of the media and expression that issues of public morality come in Article 162 of the Constitution. So the Constitution is really very careful. There is nothing about public welfare. It is about public interest and public health. And we argued in our memorandum and also very forcefully on Thursday that no such interest has been betrayed. In fact, on the contrary, we found the bill very thin on any evidential or empirical grounds. And if, in the one instance where there was an attempt to base it on empirical grounds, it was a wrong inference. We have to be very careful what we do with statistics. You can wave it around, but people are not statisticians for nothing. So you don't just take a figure and start making what you want out of it.
Okay.
So I would say that it was a good day, and we believe that in the end, reason and good sense and adherence to the Constitution will prevail.
Bishop Kisei, so you followed the hearings that day, Thursday. Now, for you, what was insightful about the various views that you heard?
Thank you very much.
We know what the church stands for. I'll come to bits of that. But for you, what were the various issues that were insightful that emerged?
Okay, thank you very much. And good morning to all your viewers. And I also want to thank all of you for the opportunity to share what the church stands for and what the Ghanaian society is looking for. Society evolves. And so as our learned friend spoke, Professor
Techiwa
Menu, she alluded a lot to the Constitution, which is true, that we are all governed by the Constitution. So before even I go further, I want to say that the bill is enshrined and is grounded in the Constitution of Ghana. And I want to read Article 39 of the Constitution so that all of us can pay attention to that. I read Article 39 of the Ghanaian Constitution, 1992, subsection 2. The state shall ensure that appropriate customary and cultural values are adopted and developed as an integral part of the growing needs of the society as a whole, and in particular that traditional practices which are injurious to the health and well-being of the persons are abolished. We know how homosexuality is injurious to many people's health. We know how individuals have suffered through this homosexuality and all the LGBTQI++. We are also aware that the state seeks to protect its being. And so the church is not outside of the state or the people of the state. The church is not just pushing numbers around because numbers will speak for themselves. Ghana is not a secular per se state as is being touted and thrown about. Neither is Ghana a religious or quote and unquote Christian state. None of it stands. But Ghana by far subscribes to a representative democracy where we have the people representing us carry the views of the people. So if we have 70% of Ghanaians, Christians, and their lawmakers have consulted with their constituents, and the constituents are saying, this is what we think we need. The Muslim community says, this is what we think we need. The Christian community says, this is what we think we need. The intellectual community says, this is what we need. Because the group of 18 is not an embodiment of all intellectuality in Ghana. There are bishops who are intellectuals. There are pastors who are intellectuals. There are also academics. And there are professors who are intellectuals. They are also academics. So let us not think that we are for or we are against. It shouldn't be seen as a for and against argument. It is the total well-being of Ghana. For instance, right now, there are people who haven't spoken, but they are on the fence. And we all have a conscience, and they know what is right. You know, in the Akan Proverbs, we have a proverb which says that, Obi nchere abofra nyame. Meaning, as a child is growing, he knows God. He knows the things which God allows him to do. If you hear of some of these practices in the years past, it's so abominable and it's so detestable. So when it was starting, it was seen as a behavioral practice. So they say, okay, this is our preferences. This is our preferences. So we should be giving space as our preference. Now it has moved from space for preference to a right. And then from a right to become an imposition of the right. So I am not to say that we hate homosexuals. I'm not to say that we are against homosexuals. God loves everybody. We have friends who are homosexuals. We have pastors who are homosexuals. There are people, yes, we have. And there are, well, I don't have to speak on set now, but there are pastors who are homosexuals. Because they conduct gay marriages, and if that is their preference of a lifestyle, we need to help them out so that they'll come out of that practice. The people who are pastors, the people who are gay, the people who are LGBTQ, they are creatures of God. They are created by God. God loves them. So I want us to draw that conclusion that we hate them. We don't hate them. It is the practice. Now let me come to the bill now. The bill is Bill to promote proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. So the bill again is a bill to promote proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. That is the bill. Now the bill seeks to say that Ghanaians have a way of life and Ghanaians want to protect their way of life. In the US today, it is so sad to say that you can't even pray in schools. When a student, even a pupil, was praying over lunch, and then during that time...
Let's restrict ourselves to Ghana. Let's stop this ad hominem arguments.
Good. We are restricting ourselves to Ghana, but we also have to take cue from how some societies have degenerated.
No. You are saying you are doing something specifically for the Ghanaian society. Please.
I will restrict myself to Ghana. Thank you very much, Prof. So in the Ghanaian society, when things begin and they are not checked, I mean, it will be beyond our view to hold.
Okay, but Bishop, in talking about things happening in the Ghanaian society, who is to determine what Ghanaian family values are? Because we all come from different cultural upbringing. We all come from different religious upbringing. I mean, as for deciding to police what is human sexual rights, that seems beyond going the bounds of really what the church is supposed to do. The church is supposed to administer, or should I say, feed its flock spiritually, ensure that they are prepared for whatever it is they look ahead. But trying to police people's sexual rights or Ghanaian cultural values, I'm not exactly sure if that's within the domain of the church.
Thank you very much. You know, action and reaction, they are equal and opposite. And that's the third law of thermodynamics. So if you throw a ball to the ball comes back to you. Now, the church didn't just come out from dreaming and then said this. It was when people were trying to impose their religion or their rights onto everybody. Because you see, when
I'm not exactly sure who was trying to impose anything. Who?
Good, I will explain. If I start making noise here, and I said, Jafar, don't worry, it's me making noise. Allow me to make my noise. I will start finding out what I can do to prevent your noise from disturbing me. So the Ghanaian society is at the verge of social pollution. And if the society allows itself, the society will be polluted to the time before we wake up. The bill is not about us. It's not about Prof. It's not about me. It's about our children.
Okay, but you say it's about children. But
the future.
But the future.
Yes.
Okay, but Professor Techiwa Aminu, I think that is one issue that keeps being thrown out there, that it's about children.
Yes.
In terms of the Constitution and the rights given therein, is there a risk of these rights being eroded?
Thank you very much, Jiva. So let me start with something. Article 39 of the Constitution. This is the directive principles of state policy. It is non-justiciable. These are actions that the state must take over time to bring certain practices in conformity with the Constitution. And it talks about using formal and informal means. It didn't say enact a law. And when we talk about practices that are injurious to the health and well-being of individuals, we're talking about widowhood rights, we're talking about
female
genital mutilation, etc. So let's be clear about what we are talking about. This idea that Ghana is not a secular state. Ghana is a secular state. We are not in Afghanistan. This is not a theocratic state. It is not a Muslim state. It is not a Christian state. However, everybody is free to profess any religion that they want without imposing it on anybody. This Christian love that the bishop is talking about, in the last few weeks, suspected LGBT persons have been attacked. Where is the Christian love? Where is the love? Which church has come out to condemn any of these practices? We can't just be repeating how much we love people when we stand by and see them attacked. The 70% of Ghanaians, they are the same who are Christian. They are the same people who commit corruption. They are the same people who commit adultery, fornication. Adultery is also mentioned in the Old Testament. It's even in the 10 Commandments. Why is the church not pushing for a law against it? What are LGBT people asking for? They have not asked for anything. You were talking about imposition of a right. What right have they asked for? Who has gone to Parliament to say, I'm LGBT, do this for me, do this for me? No, it is not imposition of a right. It's suppression of other people. Now coming to children, and before that, you know, Christians, the church and mosque, they deal with sin. The state deals with crimes. Is the bishop telling us that the churches and the mosques cannot do their work? They now want the state to come and save their souls for them? If that is true, then they should just close down all the churches. So we know that it's the state that is taking over all of these things. Because to say that is to admit that somehow the churches and the mosques have lost their way, and that without state intervention, they cannot do their work. On the issue of children, Jifa, I'm glad you've asked me this. You know, yesterday I was engaged, and Bishop, last night I couldn't sleep because some churches were disturbing me. So this is what you're talking about. These are the things that you should be policing. You know, some people were just making noise the whole night. But the issue of children, we have to be so careful. First of all, laws are not made in anticipation of something that may happen. The same way our fathers lived and died, we are here, we will die and go. Our children should be seen as fully capable of looking after their interests when their time comes. So the law does not anticipate something that has not happened. There is sufficient protection of children, and we have a Children's Act. There are several provisions in our Criminal Offences Act that deal with children. And we find a lot of redundancies in this law. I don't know how carefully the bishop has read the bill, but if you go through, it is a rehash. Most of the provisions are a rehash of what is already in the Criminal Offences Act, with the difference that in some cases acts that are misdemeanors in the Criminal Offences Act become second-degree felonies, which means that if you could be jailed for 6 months in the Criminal Offences Act, suddenly in this act you will be jailed for 3 years to 6 years, which is discriminatory to start with. But on the question of children, we have to insist, being LGBTQ, whatever alphabets that have been concocted for it, is not pedophilia. I do a lot of work on children and young people. I look at the crime statistics, defilement, rape, etc. I follow the cases that are prosecuted by the Domestic Violence Victim Support Unit. Most of those acts are committed by heterosexual males. So by all means, let us be concerned about children. Let us punish anybody, straight or gay, who molests, defiles, rape children, but let us not confuse children. We are sitting we are sitting here, we know the ways in which radio stations, TVs, all the pornographic sites that our children are able to visit. There's a broadcasting law that has been waiting to be passed. Why are we not advocating for that to be passed, to protect children? So let us not bring in that we want to protect children. Anybody who abuses children should be sanctioned very severely, whether that person is gay or straight, and the church should concern itself with that, especially at the pastoral level of preaching to their congregation. These things happen where, as the bishop helpfully told us, there are even pastors who are gay, there are choir masters, there are all kinds of people within the church who also participate in these offenses. Let the church concern itself with it. Let us not hide behind this and say that we are trying to protect children. Of course, we should protect our children in every way possible, through the educational system, through the press, the limitations of what they can view. In fact, there are existing laws. They are not just being enforced. That is part of the problem. Okay, so thank you. It's not about children.
Thanks, Professor Menu. So, Bishop, I think one of the insightful things for me in the hearings on Thursday was that a lot of the presentation made by the churches is based on the good book, the Bible. Yes. It is difficult to get dogma to be flexible, or it's difficult to get dogma to change in any shape, manner, or form. So I'm just wondering whether really this is even something the church should be pushing, knowing fully well that there are a multitude of problems that, you know, our religious people face.
Thank you very much. Before I even address the dogma issue, let me address the Criminal Offences Act, Section 104, which talks about offences. that section gives homosexuality as a crime. But if you
it doesn't, sir.
Sorry.
What it does, it does.
Is about unnatural carnal.
Yes, I was about to say that. But unnatural carnal knowledge, it doesn't mention homosexuality specifically.
Yes.
Let's be fair. It doesn't mention homosexuality
specifically. But you and I know that unnatural carnal act can be man to man. It can be man to any other means which is not natural. So I'll leave that interpretation to all of us. Now, when you go further, it talks about incest. Now, incest has not come under LGBTQII++. But then, so now, if I say that there's a man, I want to have an affair with the man wants to have an affair with his daughter, the mother, the sister, as far as LGBT is concerned, that one is fine because those people haven't come out to say they should be protected. So you see, there are individuals.
Excuse me. Sorry, yes. Bishop, can you repeat that? I'm trying to understand what you just said.
Yes, I'm coming. I'm going further.
No, you're saying that. So you meant Bishop tried to say that. People who have committed incest and the like, or may commit incest.
Incest is a crime.
Yes, it's a crime. Yes. So they are not asking for any protections or so.
That's right.
But that's the analogy is not.
Yeah, it's not
same. That's the issue.
My point is this.
Pedophilia is a crime.
Prof, let's allow Bishop to finalize.
I think I have the also option now to maybe interact or interfere when I have a point because I allow Prof to speak.
Oh, it's okay. Just go on, please. It's okay. She wanted. It's okay.
She's been interrupting.
It's okay. Go ahead.
To the extent
Bishop,
I'm losing my
sorry,
thoughts.
Bishop. Just make your point. So you made the point about incest. They have not come to request any protection of rights.
Yes. And I'm not saying that it is not a crime. We all know it's a crime. Now, the LGBTQI++, what is in the bill for the people who presented the bill is that we are protecting, or the bill seeks to protect. Excuse me, I want to read. The bill seeks to promote proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values. So the emphasis of the bill is the Ghanaian family values. The Ghanaian family value is that a man has to marry a woman. But
a man can be single too, can't
the man can be single.
A woman can be single too.
A woman can be single.
They can also be a single mother, can't they?
The woman can be a single mother. The man can be a single father. But if the man chooses to marry, the Ghanaian family value, the man naturally will marry a woman.
Okay, but the point is, the LGBTQ community, which is a point Prof has made, they've not asked for anything like that. They've not asked to marry another man officially. The current marriage laws do not even provide for that. I think the fundamental issue is, if somebody is identified as LGBTQ, should they be beaten up? Does the church support people being assaulted?
Good. The church,
just on suspicion.
The church doesn't say that.
And even if they are caught, shouldn't you rather take them to face the law instead of lynching, mob justice?
The bill makes right for people to be sent to court. The bill talks about if the people are
But it's already in our laws.
Yes, but the bill is enforcing it. You see, the bill is saying that our laws, which were dormant for a long time, which now they are trying to use those same dormant laws to come up and say that, look, you have to allow LGBTQ. Now, recently, the people in Accra, the chiefs and elders, it was in the news that they are saying that a practice of LGBTQ on the land desecrates the land. This is belief.
Okay.
This is the people of Accra saying that if this is happening in their land, it is offensive to the land.
Okay, but Bishop Kisei, are you denying that over centuries we've never had LGBTQ people?
I do not deny that. I will be here to tell you that when I was growing up, we were told that there was a certain man who was a gay. And the idea even of him being a gay is so abominable. People feared even to go near his house. So that is the ingrained Ghanaian culture.
But he was not assaulted. So I think
so I'm
raising the issue that at the end of the day, should people be criminalized for who they are?
Now, let me still go further since I have the opportunity to share. In the Bible, now come to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 1 talks about, from verse 17, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and all unrighteousness of men. So it includes homosexuality, it includes adultery, it includes lying, all kinds of sin.
But the church has turned a blind eye to adultery and all these other sins for a long time.
No.
Men who have had children out of wedlock, or women who've engaged in extramarital affairs. No one has criminalized them. In fact, they've been forgiven. They've been forgiven. So why can we not extend that forgiveness to LGBTQ people and just let them live their lives?
For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things which are made, even his eternal power. Now, because when they knew God, talking about we as human beings, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of incorruptible God into the image made like the corruptible man. Wherefore, God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own eyes. So this is not the way they were born. This is a lust. This is a practice the person is responding to. You see, if you have a lust, it is something that can be helped. You can be helped to come out of that. I keep on reading.
Okay. No, so I think the point has been made.
Good.
But you are saying it's a loss. Well, the Ghana AIDS Commission made a presentation at the public hearings.
Yes.
Let's hear what the Director General of the Commission, Mr. Echiahene, said about who is spreading, HIV infections more. So if we can have that video.
The implications of the bill have far-reaching consequences or implications for the work we do to eliminate HIV and AIDS in the country. HIV and TB service providers and the activities they carry out may be construed in this respect. Donor funding for the HIV response covers HIV and TB services for men who have sex with men and transgenders. These health services have nothing to do with the activities the bill seeks to proscribe, but may be construed to be if the bill is passed in its current form. Donors will withdraw their funding if they are criminalized by this bill. HIV program is largely funded by donors, and the withdrawal of their funds will certainly jeopardize the HIV response.
All right, so that's one bit he raised. So quickly address that, then we will play the second one where he talks about who is the driver of HIV infection.
Now, from his submission, HIV is transmitted from man to man.
No, please.
That's what he said.
No, he specified. He specified that they are part of a group of people who have HIV/AIDS who will end up suffering neglect if this bill is passed, because
yes.
the donor support that is provided for everyone.
I'll come to the donor support.
We rely on donor support to provide support for all HIV/AIDS people.
That's right.
But what it means is, if we pass this bill, which is targeting LGBTQ people and MSMs, it means the generality of all the people who need that support will be affected.
Good.
It's not that they are the drivers of HIV infections.
But from his submission, man to man, that is one of the means by which HIV/AIDS, is passed.
And
that's
it's only 15%.
It's 15%.
Yes.
Good. And then he also said
So it means the 85% is who?
You and I can answer that.
It's heterosexuals.
Okay.
That's the point. So
now,
the point is that the risk being hanged around LGBTQ people it's not as excessive as heterosexual people. Heterosexual people, men sleeping with women, are the major drivers of HIV infections, not LGBTQ people. Their number is only 15%. And that's the point he's trying to make.
Okay, that is in the fact that maybe the woman who sleeps with the man is a carrier. That could happen. Now, my answer to his point on donor funding is that when we pass this bill, and then there are less people having man-to-man or SMS relations, HIV reduces, so there will be less need for HIV funding.
That's not true, sir.
So what happens? One of the submissions.
So what happened? So what happens to the 85% heterosexuals? Because it means they will continue to drive the spread. The spread driven by men sleeping with men is only 15.
Now,
so the point really is that the statistics which had been put out earlier had not been accurately presented. It was made to look like LGBTQ people were driving HIV infections, and that for me was one of the insightful things from the hearing. That it is not the case.
Now,
the public health argument doesn't hold. I just want to restrict you to the point you were making about.
Yes, I'll go ahead and make the point. In the year 2020, just last year, $200 million was spent by this government, Ghana, to subsidize HIV/AIDS. Now, that amount of money can also be used to treat other urgent social needs in our nation. So if we are talking of donor funding, that money, if it doesn't come, we can generate resources, because you and I are here. We are always looking to someone to help us before we can leave. When can we become self-dependent? So if we don't begin to see that Ghana, we should be able to take our destiny into our hands and then teach our young people to create jobs and no way to go and line up for jobs to be created from heaven. Because you see, everyone who is an entrepreneur goes through failures. You fail several times and you succeed. But if you don't begin to teach them from the beginning that, look, it's difficult to create jobs. You need to be having integrity. You need character. You need moral values. You need hard work. They will come out of the school with certificates, and then they will not be able to create jobs. Now, homosexuality doesn't spring up overnight. It starts in our schools sometimes. It starts with our children. And people... That even reminds me, let me finish my thought. I'll come to the pedophilia. Good. People can't forget experiences. When a young boy is sodomized, he feels a victim. So he wants to visit the victim on other young boys. It begins to spread. So we are not here to say that we are talking just about love in inverted commas. There is a risk that if we don't look at it as individuals and see that this thing is not about the church against the state. You see, if you do that, you are trying to bring one person against the other. That's not the issue. We are here to say that it is in the interest that, as for loving, we love every person. The church loves everybody, but God hates sin. And our sin is what God wants us, or the bill wants to come out with. Because the criminalization is already in the Criminal Offences Act. It's not now that it's coming out.
Okay, so I think the main issue now is we already have some of these laws. We should enforce it. We don't need to create a new one.
No, I'm not drawing that conclusion.
You are not drawing that conclusion.
No, I'm not drawing that conclusion. My conclusion is that the bill seeks to enforce the things that are needed to be addressed, and is in particular the LGBTQ.
So you want specificity.
That's right.
That's what you want.
That's right.
Okay.
The bill in its form addresses things that were not addressed because at the time when the Criminal Offences Code in 1960 was passed, the only thing they could handle was homosexuality. They couldn't even think beyond that.
But it's not even specifically mentioned. That's why I'm asking. So you want specificity.
That's right.
And you want
and now
it to be mentioned.
Society has evolved and is more than just homosexuality. So all those other things that are in addition to homosexuality should be mentioned in a bill.
Okay. Let me bring in Richard Asante-Yeboah. I'm sure you've been enjoying the conversation. So I think there's a certain view that this bill will cause some charge onto the consolidated fund and so will not meet the minimum standard of what a private member's bill is. The moment it's going to be charged onto the consolidated fund, it means the executive need to pick it up. You are a communications person for government. What is the mood and the sense about where this is headed, especially as you watched the first day of the hearings?
Thank you very much. I think I like the sort of discussion that has engulfed this whole bill and the views that are being expressed from all the angles. What excites me is that we are in a participatory democracy, and as such, you need people to come up forcefully and speak their minds on things that they believe in, whether they support or they are against it. And this is what we need, without necessarily involving ourselves in raining insults and insinuations at each other. And I see the level of discussion and intelligence that has been expressed so far on this whole matter from the day this whole bill became public to the Ghanaian. I look at it, and one thing excites me. As somebody coming from government, I know one thing that the president has said, and he said it when he met the Catholic bishop, that it will not be under his government would same-sex marriage be legalized. It will never happen.
But it's not even been asked for.
No, that's okay. He has said that. That excites me. I'm a true African and a very conservative one like that. And as a Christian too. So it's pretty obvious that I will not want to countenance anything that had to do with homosexuality and all that. But I equally get the sense that have been expressed by the 18 individuals, noble men and women who have contributed their quota to the societal development over the years, either in academia or in law and all that. Some of them have been taught me before. You want to appreciate where they come from, and some of the points they express, that they are looking beyond what some of us also are seeing. They are thinking that, you know what, there are things that you need to tone down on. They are thinking that to endanger people's life.
Do you have some views on provisions of the bill that need to be toned down? Because, for instance, there are provisions in the bill that demand reporting of family members. Is that what is appropriate?
You know what? I will not pick the individual provisions.
Why not?
And seek to, because the point is then the program will need to be extended, because there are a good number of them that I think when you read you want to sort of say that. But you see, that's why it's going through the cooking stage. Right. The thing is not ready to be consumed. It is still before Parliament. All these stages and everything that is going through, there are three things that is most likely to happen. That it will be fine-tuned to a certain level where everybody can come to the compromise and agree to a certain extent. Or it will get to a point people say, okay, you know what, the points being made by the other side, this present constitution addresses it, so we can stick to that. Or it will get to a level then our pastors and some of us who believe that we ought not to entertain any concept that seeks to add additional behaviors and conducts in terms of people expressing their sexual desires, which has limitless ends. Tomorrow is a plus. You can marry limitless. You can marry a C. I mean, all those. But the point is that you get the sense that, indeed, those who are also speaking for, they are not asking that they believe that we should legalize homosexuality in Ghana. They are not saying that. I'm not sure I've heard any of them say that they believe in that and they want to promote that and they want to set up NGOs asking people to recruiting people to become homosexuals. I've not heard it.
In fact, they have not said that.
They've never
All
said
they are
that.
asking for is that
they are looking at
individuals are Ghanaians. They are entitled to a life of peace, a life to work, a life
but the Constitution already provides for that because
and,
you cannot.
And that is exactly the point. That why talk about why talk about a promotion of proper human rights, sexual Ghanaian family values bill when the Constitution, which is the leveler for all of us, irrespective of where you come from, provides that. Why do we?
When you look at the current Constitution, it even goes beyond what we are trying to look at. You see, you realize that it talks about unnatural carnal knowledge. It gives
that is the criminal code.
Yes. It gives you an idea that, you know what, it is not only about a man doing something to a man.
I'm not sure it gives me any idea. It doesn't give me any idea.
I'm trying to.
It just lists what
it tells you that.
And it speaks specifically
that a man can also have a relationship with a woman sexually, which would also be an affront to the law, because they do not go through the natural means of doing it.
So I'm waiting for a court to sentence some man and woman or vice versa.
I mean, remember that, the law deals with evidence.
So the point
not rumors. I hope you're getting me.
Great.
And it deals with evidence. That is why, because the criminal aspect that we are looking at, you want to sort of have both ingredients.
But the point is,
the menstrual and the attribute in terms of the ingredients all meeting before any court will pass judgment.
But I asked you a question, you've not answered me. It seems that this bill may lead to a charge on the consolidated fund. And so there's a view that it may not meet the minimum standard of a private member's bill because it should not cause any additional cost.
I agree.
So what about that?
I think, like I said, Parliament is a master of its own laws and also rules. In terms of dealing with that particular aspect of it, I think that for us, and as for me, my thinking is that we ought not to dwell on technicalities to either scrap it or to push things forward. Because if you go beyond, if you go through that angle, then you will not satisfy anybody. Now, the debate is what is important because, I mean, people will change their stance. People would come to the middle ground. We will all come to understand and appreciate what ought to be done as a people. You understand what is being pushed. You understand the aspect that people speak about in terms of human rights and all that. But the point is, at the end of the day, what will be of relevance to me is that there wouldn't be a situation whereby a point will come in Ghana where a church can say that I'm going to put a man and a man together. That is what I will be happy. That's right. Never to happen.
Okay, let's hear Professor Techiwa Menu. I think Richard Asante was
trying to keep me out of the conversation for a while.
Beg your pardon.
So I want to address a couple of points.
Yes, please go ahead.
Here's a bishop, and I mean, no, I'm not attacking him. I heard the bishop talking about foreign things. He's dressed in a suit. He's wearing glasses. Everything that you are wearing is not made in Ghana. So let's take our foreign arguments properly. You know, it's amazing. Suddenly, the Pentecostal and the Charismatic Council have become the defenders. Please, let me finish. Have become the defenders of Ghanaian culture and values. This issue about foreignness. Ghana subsists on foreign loans and foreign investments, etc. When it suits us, we drive foreign cars. Everything that we aspire to is foreign. And yet when we choose, suddenly we are this nationalistic, let the young people do this, let the young people do this. Let's start with ourselves. Let's eschew all the foreign things, the phones made by designed by a gay person that we are using.
She stopped me from using that example. So she couldn't use the same example.
Let me finish. When I finish, you can talk.
Good.
So there is this other issue of stringing together a whole lot of things. LGBT, this thing. This bill confuses sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual characteristics, and makes a mockery of itself with the plus of things that it doesn't understand. There are Ghanaian and non-Ghanaian scholars who work on these issues. If the bill makers were serious, they would have consulted some of these works instead of flooding the Ghanaian space with any kind of, excuse me, silly video, anything from different jurisdictions that we don't understand. A lot of distortions. Today we are told about a World Court of Justice that does not even exist. There's a European Court of Human Rights. It was talking about same-sex marriage, not about homosexuality. The young man from the MPP, your rights, your preferences, they are your own. Nobody is stopping you from being a conservative Ghanaian and a Christian. That is not the point here. We're talking about the Constitution and the rights. Now, this argument that Section 104 was made in 1960, before this current session of Parliament, there is one of the papers that has been put, is an amendment to the Criminal Offences Act. If we believe that Section 104 has outlived its usefulness, it is not precise enough. There is nothing stopping us from amending it. So let's stop this. Section 104 was a colonial statute. Then it got reenacted in 1960 as the Section 104 of the Criminal Offences Act. We are in 2021. If we think that there is some ambiguity, etc., this bill, if you go through it carefully, like I have done, it is just full of redundancies, procuration, keeping a brothel, trafficking. These are all in the existing law. And as I've said, what this law succeeds in doing is taking provisions that are already there and doubling the punishment. I think, if I can be frank, the church is not coming through well. It is not showing compassion. It is not showing charity. Like the hostess said, it is just dogma, repeating verses in the Old and New Testament to us. We also read the Bible. We know what is in the Bible.
Bishop mentions a certain concern which I would like you to help us address if you can.
Please tell me.
He says that society evolves,
right?
And the initial thing was it was just about homosexuals,
right?
Mainly men,
yeah.
But now we are seeing lesbianism, we are seeing transgender, all these other aspects.
But that is what I'm talking about. That it is the confusion. It is the confusion. So you just string together, as I said. When you're talking about sexual orientation, you're talking about gays and lesbians. When you're talking about gender identity, you're talking about transgenders and co. When you're talking about sexual characteristics, you're talking about intersex people. You string it all together. The point that the supporters of the bill have to confront is that even in Section 104, we're dealing with an act, okay? In this bill, it is one's very identity that is criminalized. You are criminalized for holding out as gay, bisexual. What crime have you committed? Bishop, if two consenting adults stay in their room, and we have mentioned that the law makes a distinction between sex and marriage. Sex is a private act. Marriage is a public institution. So when you are having sex and you can prove that the people have capacity, they're giving consent, and it is private, the law has no business with it. That is why adultery is not a crime. That is why premarital sex is not a crime. It can be a cardinal sin in the church, but it is not a crime. So these are the issues we are talking about. So you are the people who are creating the confusion for people by multiplying identities that do not exist, by scaring people with non-existent characteristics. And I wanted to come back to the Ghana AIDS Commission study. This was a very specific study of men who have sex with men. It is MSM, not SMS. It's MSM. So it was a very limited study done in 2017. The results applied to the year in which it was done. It has been blown out of all proportion. I heard somebody, I was on a program with somebody, he says HIV people are, gay people are 18 times more likely. And I talked to the government statistician and he says, no, the person doesn't understand statistics. What is your comparator that you come up with 18 times? So as the Ghana AIDS Commission presentation made clear, when we really go into the population, it is not true that it is gay men who are infecting commercial sex workers and all of those things. They are heterosexual men, most of whom are married, and we know that the 72% of people living with HIV and AIDS are heterosexuals. And we need to face up to it and stop the usual Ghanaian ostrich mentality of just ignoring the facts and just burying it. We have an epidemic of teenage pregnancies. 555,000 young people between the ages of 10 and 19 got pregnant between 2016 and 2020. Just a few days ago, the Minister for Employment, or one of the ministers, they were in the Central Region talking about finding legal solutions to teenage pregnancies. The legal solutions are already there. Let's enforce them. We should stop negotiating with abusers, defilers, families accepting goats and cloth and things to let people go free. Every year, 112,000 young people are getting pregnant, teenagers. We are mortgaging our future. If we are really concerned with children, if we are concerned with protecting our future, these are the issues that we should be dealing with.
I think
not non-existent offenses of people, very vulnerable people. And as I said, no churchman has come out to say, stop the beating, stop this. This is hypocrisy. What are we doing to protect these people?
Okay.
So it's not about the abstract love that we preach on Sundays. It is the everyday love that we show to people who are vulnerable, people who are being abused and being attacked. So let's be very clear, because we have spent, this is a lot of energy that we have spent in the last 6 months. And you see, people got angry when we said there's nothing Ghanaian about this bill. It follows a pattern. If you go and look at the bill that has been introduced in Hungary, in Moldova, in Uganda, it is the same pattern. It is just a bill of hate and bigotry.
Okay, Professor Menu, that's where we have to. I have to take so I have to take Bishop's point. So Bishop, she raised some very fundamental issues, which, truth be told, I did raise earlier, but you didn't specifically address. Good. So so I think you can address the bit about pedophilia, the bit about this sexual predatory behavior, where we see all these young girls who are getting pregnant. The church has not, tackled any of these.
Good. I am happy that the prof is so angry.
No, she's not angry. She's passionate.
She's passionate.
She's not angry. So just
about it. But then I'm also surprised she was attacking my person.
No, she didn't attack you. But Bishop, I think she made the point that it's not about your person.
The point I want to make is that when I address the issue that this thing started in the U.S. when a small child having lunch and prayed over the lunch, and then the mother said no, and so took that prayer over one lunch, and then it was ruled that they could not pray in the school, as if it's a private matter in a small school. Now the whole U.S., they no more allow prayers in public places.
This is not true.
That is
well, I have been in and out several times. I have people.
Yes. Lived in the U.S. It is not true.
So I'm not saying that you have a right to attack personalities.
She's not attacking your person. All she says is that. I beg your pardon. Let me rephrase, because she made the point clearly. So she didn't attack you.
She says that.
She said you are wearing foreign clothes.
We choose and pick when it's suitable for us.
Yes.
Yes, that is how life is. We don't use fire to burn our fingers. We use fire to cook. We don't use water to go and drown in a bath. We use water to clean dirt on us. So God created us to choose and pick when it is important for us. Now, the bill is seeking that certain people must be given the chance to come and pollute our public space.
But how many of these people? No,
you seem to take questions.
No.
You were listening to her.
No, I listen. It's just that sometimes if I feel like there's clarity, that's why I would
let me finish. You can also note them down because you are very sensitive.
Oh no, I'm not sensitive.
Okay, passionate.
No, I'm a fair. I believe I'm a fair arbiter.
Okay, you are a very fair arbiter.
Yes,
very fair arbiter. I like your fairness. So my point here is this. This is a view of the whole traditional council, the Traditional Society of Ghana. They have expressed by the National House of Chiefs that they are against LGBTQ. The Muslim Society in Ghana, they have issued a statement. They are against LGBTQ. The Christian Society, the Christian Council of Ghana, they have expressed a sentiment. They're against LGBTQ. The Kali Bishops of Council of Ghana, they have expressed a sentiment. They're against LGBTQ. Now, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council has expressed a sentiment. They're against LGBTQ. We have most learned 18 professors and eminent citizens. Are we saying that all the rest or the majority of Ghanaians are in error? So we should throw their views aside and listen to just these 18 people?
No,
yes,
so
they have taught us.
So the question is that do we just make a law because we don't like certain kind of people?
No, that's not the issue. The issue is this. The CDD, which I was hoping I'll come to, let me just address that now. The CDD, the Center for Democratic Development, yes, did a study. And out of that study, which was published on the 1st of July, 97, which I know 2 of the persons out of that 18 eminent people were there. Now, 97% of Ghanaians are tolerant. They are tolerant of different ethnicity, meaning it doesn't matter your tribe, they can live with you. They don't really matter. They will live with you. Then 94% are tolerant of different religion. You can be a Muslim, you can be a Christian, you can be a traditional African religionist. They will still live with you. That's 94%. 91% are willing to tolerate people of different political persuasions. Now, 71% are even willing to live with migrants and foreigners. But when it comes to people with homosexuality, only 7% say that they are willing to tolerate people with different sexual, whether it's sexual orientations or sexual identifications, but 91% says no. So the view of the people is what is represented in the bill. It's not a few people who have just stood up and say, we have read the Bible. Yes, we have read the Bible. In fact, there's a difference between dogma and doctrine. Now, a doctrine is different from dogma. I want to address that now. We are not dogmatic. A dogma means you just tell the people to drink petrol, and then we just go and drink petrol. That's dogmatic. So please, withdraw that. We are not saying this because we are dogmatic. We are doctrinally sound, and we are basing our argument on doctrine. Doctrine is teaching, because teaching is what makes people who they are. Without teaching, the people perish, because knowledge comes from teaching. The professors taught us. I mean, we all have been taught, and we still teach. So this bill is to bring the awareness. I mean, I'm happy for the contributions going on. I'm happy that people who were quiet for a long time, now they can get out and speak. People who haven't come to the public domain, now they can come to the public domain. This thing was so important that last night I stayed awake. I listened to Professor Lechua Meno because her video was sent to me last night. And I needed to listen very well before we met today. I listened to her. I listened to the Ghana AIDS Commission. I listen to them. So you see, we are not just coming out of nowhere and we hate the people. We all know the distinction between sex and marriage. God also puts a distinction between sex and marriage. We are not against people having their expressing themselves in their sexual orientations, but we are saying that God has standards, and we are people created by Him. Whether we worship Him or not, He created us. And then there are serious health hazards. Let me address that now. There are serious health hazards that go with homosexuality. There are very serious health hazards. You know, the law is good, but we pastors, we work with the people. So when they have these health hazards, they come to us. They are involved in homosexuality. It goes so bad that some of them, excuse me to say, they wear pampers. And so we are saving people's lives. We are saving people's future. We are saving people's credibility and dignity. So if you look at the law as a group of people just coming and they are coming against people, not at all. That is not what the law stands for. So I want to let everybody know, and all our cherished listeners, that the LGBTQ, we are not against them. We are saying that the practice is not in line with what God wants us to do and what the Ghanaian society, our family values stand for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that, I think, is a good way to end, Bishop. I'll take a final point from Richard and a final point from Professor Minu.
I think I also would want to see and hear the argument as it continues.
So for you, you are looking ahead to the rest of the 10 weeks of public hearings.
Of course. See, and it's good. It helps us. And I think that our democracy is evolving. I like the speed at which it is moving. This is what we need in our country. That when issue comes to the fore, people will come in and speak strongly, speak for or against it. Then based on that, we'll be able to fine-tune whatever we want to position for ourselves for now and the future. And I think that interests me. Let's allow everybody to speak their mind. And I like the fact that people are making their notes, copious notes, they are countering it, they are making research. I mean, this is what we need. And that
I think it's one topic that many people have gone to read about, that many other things people don't bother to read about.
If you have done that to all the subjects that come before us as a country, we would have gotten far. But every time when matters come around, I mean,
we leave it to the politicians.
Yes, and we leave them and people fold their arms. I like the fact that people are coming and I'm enjoying Prof. I mean, things I might not agree with her, but the point is, some of the issues, she speak to it, and you know that, I mean, she's passionate about it, sometimes passionately violent, but it's okay.
All right, thank you.
But it's beautiful, and I think it's good for our country and good for our democracy.
All right.
Let's encourage
so
people
Prof,
to speak.
I think one of the major challenges I see ahead is the group of 18, the Africa Human Rights Group. They've presented as of Thursday. I'm waiting to see presentations from the medical people, for instance, in the weeks ahead. But the view we get is that the majority of the memoranda are presented by, religious groups and interest groups aligned with religion. I'm just wondering, for the committee, how then do you sift out through this whole, barrage of information in a bid to come up with something that may be acceptable or not?
Thank you very much, Jifa. I know time is running. If you look at the bill, it has about 36 pages. It spends about 18 pages on its memoranda. It knows that it has a very hard sell. And then when you go into the bill itself, as I said, most of the clauses of the provisions just repeat existing law. Okay. Now, I want to address this CDD survey, and the CDD people on Thursday said to people, stop misusing this survey. In fact, people should be embarrassed about citing it, because what it brings out is that Ghana is a very intolerant society, like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, a whole group of people that we don't want to be in. Following this survey, and when Ghana in 2017, under the same government that this young man is serving, went to Geneva for its periodic universal review, at the end of it, the special rapporteur said to Ghana, there are 3 recommendations that we are making to you. We suggest that you legalize same-sex marriage, you decriminalize same-sex relations, or you take steps to protect LGBT persons. And as it was Ghana's right to do, Ghana said, no, we will not legalize same-sex marriage. We will not decriminalize same-sex relations, but we will protect LGBT people. So this law, this bill, actually flies in the face of that commitment to protect vulnerable people. This issue about church and state, the church should go on. Tomorrow is Sunday, Bishop. You and all your flock, please preach to all the gay pastors, the gay congregants, etc. Continue to do your work, but don't cede your responsibility to the state. The state deals with crime, the church deals with sin. Continue to do the sin work. That is important. So you are making people suspicious. People are asking, is that why the Church of Pentecost donated a prison to the state so that they can go and put people in it? Now, the issue about the medical grounds, I think that the issue, the public health justification, has been shown to be really not true. We are not saying that we shouldn't deal with gays and lesbians and their health problems. But that frenzy that somehow these people, and this, I've heard this Pampers story so many times, I just get disgusted, you know, when I hear it. We live in a country, and I'll say it again, where common malaria kills people, children die, and yet we are now trying to find, you know, all our resources to treating very complex problems. In 1990, the World Health Organization took away homosexuality as a disease. The UN bodies, they have described conversion therapy, all those therapies that the church and the pseudoscientific community claim. They say it is a form of torture. Even in the US that we like to cite, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Medical Association, the American Association of Counselors, they have all come out to decry this conversion therapy. In Ghana, it is after it stops raining that we bring out our buckets. So now somebody has heard conversion therapy and it is all the rage. Let us reserve our resources to deal with the rising communicable and non-communicable diseases. Okay? So I really want to insist that at the end of the day, as we have said, yes, we've been told, the Pentecostalist and Charismatic Council, they told us they've got 3.8 million members. They have got chieftaincy ministry, children's ministry, youth ministry, market women's ministry, every ministry, and they are all against it. Fine, that is their right. What they do not, the right they do not have is to legislate their own beliefs and hates into law. So at the end of the day, Jifa, after the committee has heard the medical establishment, all of them, plus the Ghana AIDS Commission, they are going to go back to the Constitution. And the Constitution says that Article 1, subsection 1 and 2, and Article 93, subsection 2, that any law that is made must be consistent with the Constitution. So you take this clause, and then you look at what it provides. You will not allow people to support this. And then you look at the Chapter 5 on fundamental human rights. Does this breach the freedom of expression? Does it breach the freedom of association? That is what the committee will do, step by step. And the threats that are being issued to parliamentarians, I heard it in the room on Thursday. We are watching you if you don't do this. Like one parliamentarian has said, people get deselected all the time. So let us stand up for our beliefs. Let us not be cowed. Let us continue as people of faith to do what the good book says we should do in our churches and in our communities. Let us leave the state to govern and let the state live up to its responsibilities that it has freely assumed, including to the African Charter,
Prof, sorry, but we have
Human Rights Convention, etc.
Thank you very much, and I want to say thanks to our guests. It's been a tighter show. Thanks to Professor Emerita Techiwa Menu. Many thanks to Bishop Dr. Gordon Kisei, and also to Dr. Richard Asante Yeboah. You've been watching Key Points. My name is Jifa Bampo. Have a good Saturday. Up next is Warm Up Plus.